typically when there's a versus situation, you and I are kind of on the same side.
A lot of times.
Batman versus Superman. Batman is better generally. If you polled us, just us, it'd be 100% on the Batman side of things. I think we both kind of agree that in the Freddy versus Jason situation, we tend to prefer Jason.
See, and that's interesting because in the past, I was definitely more a Freddy fan.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like when that movie came out, like seeing it originally,
yeah,
I was all over the Freddy stuff, man. That is who I was rooting for there.
Okay,
and I like Jason. Don't get me wrong. I think I've come around to Jason a lot more in the last several years.
Okay,
kind of what those movies are, and like, I mean, there's just so many of them.
Sure,
and they all kind of follow that same pattern. But I don't know. I don't know. Freddy, watching him go from like what he starts as to what he eventually ends up as is kind of like, it grades on me more now.
Like he goes from a child murderer to Looney Tune. Is kind of what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. No, I see that. I think because there's so many verses that exist out there.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Well, that's funny because we had that conversation today.
Yeah.
Where only an idiot would think that the giant ape doesn't take that fight, 100 times, 100%.
Against an even gianter lizard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Here's what I want you to imagine. Put a gibbous monkey in a room with an iguana. Who wins that fight? The monkey. He picks it up. He smashes it. He might even have sex with it.
Okay.
He definitely wins.
Okay, but put that same monkey in a room with a Komodo dragon.
Yeah, but that's not a fair parallel.
Why is it not?
Because Kong is just as big as Godzilla by the end of the Monsterverse. We're not doing this right now. The point is, the plan cold open was, spoilers, we do this on purpose.
What? This wasn't just a conversation we were having?
No.
And we happened to turn the mics on?
Oh, right. Yes. Is Alien versus Predator, which is a series that you and I both love. The two separate and then, obviously them coming together. And we've kind of talked about that love here. But what I don't think people understand is you and I are massive fans of those respective series. But where I am a fan of Alien, but a diehard, like I have a massive love for the Predator series. I love those fucking movies. Even their worst entries are still fun. And I really like the mythos of that. You kind of take the Alien side of that.
Yes. And what's funny is that your love of Predator predates your venture into horror.
By a lot. Yeah. And I don't really, I know the first Predator movie I saw a long time ago. I think it was on cable of all things. But, yeah, no, it was just one of those things that I had always kind of liked. I like his look. I like his aesthetic. I like the idea of that movie of the series, this perfect apex predator that just hunts dudes for sport. And then, of course, you have Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And he's, massive.
Yeah. And Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
Also massive.
And the two of them lock arms, their muscles ball. Now, see, what's interesting is because of the cloaking device that the Predator has, what you don't realize is he's there also.
Oh.
And he's flexing.
Nice.
But his muscles are way bigger. Like a lot.
Whereas I'm on the other side of things where, and I think we've talked about it before, where for whatever reason, my mother allowed me to rent and watch all 4 of the Alien movies that were available at the time as a kid, even though they are like very, R-rated. Are people being impaled and cut in half and things bursting out of you. And there's sexual themes, and whether, I understood that as a child, probably not, but they're all there.
Well, and as an adult, it's impossible to see a face hugger or a xenomorph and not go, man, that thing's got a penis for a head. What I will say,
and that's why I love it.
Yeah. Well, and there was a cold open. Hold on. Sorry.
Let's move past it.
You pervert. There's this thing that we talked about in cold open a while ago where it was kind of just a wonderful time to be a fan of horror because of all the things that are kind of coming out and being, the games, the cartoons, even the things that are being generated now are so wide reaching and popular. But something more granular is that it's a great time to be an Alien and a Predator fan.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, just spectacular things thank God for Hulu.
Yes.
Yeah, truly.
Well, now that like 20th Century Fox, because both of those franchises, as far as I'm aware, are owned by 20th Century, that being bought up by Disney, it's taken them a few years to finally kind of get some people under and behind these franchises to start them up again. But I think they're doing them both in very interesting ways.
Yeah. What's funny is that this is exactly what you would have hoped New Line would have done with Freddy or Jason.
Yes.
And they didn't. But yeah, no, because you've got these. We just finished Alien Earth today. And
I was behind because of our busy October schedule.
Yeah. Well, and our October now is like from the middle of August into the first couple weeks of November. So yeah, it's absolutely fucked. But yeah, we finally got the chance to finish that. You have seen Predator Badlands.
Yes.
I have not.
Yeah.
I was not
saw
available.
That opening weekend, and hopefully we will watch it together here shortly.
Yeah, I would like to. But then there's also, Prey came out a little while ago with Trachtenberg. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Same director who did Badlands.
Yeah.
Same director who has done Predator Killer of Killers, which is the animated film.
Right.
Anthology
which
on
is a crazy thing to have exist. Having an animated Predator film, and it almost looks like Samurai Jack is parts of it.
Yeah.
Having an animated Predator movie available on streaming is as crazy as an 8-hour-long episodes, limited series. Well, not even. They picked up for a second season.
It up for a second season.
So, we're getting cool things.
Well, and then Alien Romulus last year, which was phenomenal. I loved that movie.
And I mean, you have the entire Prometheus series, and that trilogy has mixed reviews with how it goes. But ultimately, I think people like you, people who love that series, like those movies an awful lot. I submit that Prometheus's main theme is the prettiest original soundtrack, theme of all time.
Yeah, besides our soundtrack.
Hello and welcome to the Third Channel podcast,
where we delve into the horror franchises you love from the perspectives of a lifelong horror fan
and a newbie to the genre. I'm PJ.
And I'm Derek.
And today, the only thing we're here to talk about is horror. Unfortunately, we're not here to talk about sci-fi horror. But wait, yes, we are. We are here to talk about a movie that can best be described as, what the fuck is this movie?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this one. This might be the headiest movie we've covered.
The headiest movie, unless you use your head at all at any point. Yeah. We are talking about John Carpenter's The Prince of Darkness. It is bizarre.
Yeah.
The everything. The casting choices are bizarre. The way they handle their characters, how many characters there are, is bizarre. Where the characters come from,
how they interact with each other, or don't interact with each other.
Right. What the monster is, where it comes from, how it's explained, the time travel element of it. Everything about this movie is fucking wild.
Yes. And parts of it I really love. Parts of it I don't love.
Parts of it I think are fine. Parts of it I despise. I do not care for this one.
Okay.
I know that this one is weird enough that it catches you in that right space. I don't know what you gave this
But I
movie.
don't love this one as much as some do.
Sure, no. And there are some, we talked about this with Mouth of Madness. There are die-hard fans. I'm one of them. People that think it's a perfect movie, people that absolutely adore it. You gave this movie on Letterboxd 3.5 stars.
Yeah, and that's been pretty solid. I've watched it about 4 times that I can recall.
Yeah.
But it's not one that I watched whenever I was, super young.
Sure.
I think it's another one that I kind of caught within the last, 5-6 years maybe.
Sure.
And I I think the first time I ever watched it, it was like, I don't know what that was.
Right.
I think I either wasn't in the right headspace or it wasn't what I expected it to be. Not that I knew what to expect.
Yeah, but that's the sign of a good movie, is that you have to be in a very specific kind of headspace to get anything out of it.
Yeah.
The first time I watched In the Mouth of Madness, I got it immediately. I enjoyed it for what it was immediately, but I was able to pick up on that. I didn't need to rewatch the plot. I understood what happened. This is the second time I've seen this movie, and I still have an okay understanding, but there were so many times in this movie watching this where I was like, okay, pause. What is happening? It's like the devil's dad, and we'll get all into this, don't worry, but I'm going to say this loosely. It's like, so the devil's dad is in a mirror and he's an alien, and Jesus is also an alien, and they were aliens, and then they got kicked into a mirror. And then the Catholic Church, which apparently is over 2,000 years old, was like, we are going to fix this. No worries about it. But they didn't do it in an appropriate way. And you were like, yeah, more or less. And it was like, all right, let's keep going. And it is just every single scene is either one of two things. It is either meandering nothing. Well, okay, one of three things. 1, meandering nothing. 2, just fucking dump trucks backing up and throwing exposition out where the exposition is all pseudoscience nonsense, or it is the weirdest shit you've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah. I think that this one, the best way I can put it is that I love what they're trying to do.
Sure.
I love the concepts at play here, faith versus science, looking into how one affects the other.
Yeah.
And when faced with like what is now, I guess what we have to take as reality in this scientific way, like whether or not you lose your faith because of that.
Or if it strengthens because now you kind of prove that it was right, just not in the same way.
Exactly.
It's like if you could prove that Jesus Christ was alive, did all the miracles that the Bible says he did, but he was an alien. Not the son of a divine creator.
Yeah.
Like,
does that make you stronger in your faith or lose it a little?
Because it's like, well, did he create everything? Yeah. Is he then because it kind of explains, like, is it directly responsible for all matter and all living things will? It's like, to an extent, yeah. So it's like, oh, well, everything in the Bible is true. It's just not divine. Right. It's extraterrestrial. So I don't know. Again, everything that we're talking about actually happens in this one. Yeah, the first time I saw this movie was with you, as always. It's when you got, and we mentioned this during our review last week about Mouth of Madness. You bought that whole John Carpenter's. Yeah. The thing about this one that's interesting, though, is that for the most part, John's work is so famous that you know most of it. It's like you can kind of, even the ones that he's like Halloween 2 or, the Halloween franchise. Yeah, he's only really responsible for like 1.5 of those if you break that down. But like, about Season of the Witch because of the masks. About Halloween because it's the most famous horror franchise of all time. But then it's even things like, about The Thing. I happen to know about Mouth of Madness from a very odd place, but like, the visuals from The Fog, the visuals from Carrie, they're all
Carrie's not his, but
the visuals from The Fog, the visuals from Christine, like there's so much famous work of his. I had never heard of this movie, had no idea.
Well, and then you have like Escape from LA and Big Trouble Little China.
Yeah. This is like one of those Precinct 13 Ghosts of Mars where it's like, oh, I didn't know
a
this
little
existed.
More obscure.
And then there are those that aren't genre of his that are like
he made that Starman and Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Yeah.
The two Man movies.
The Men. Oh, and Elvis.
True. Yeah, he did that TV movie. I have yet to watch it.
And from what people who knew him say, Elvis was the man.
Yeah.
You know.
He was the king of rock and roll for sure.
Yeah, he ate sandwiches and he toileted. But the point that I'm making is that I had zero clue this movie existed at all. So to find out about it, I was like, oh, he made a devil movie? That's fucking awesome. And then we watched through it and I was like, oh, this is why I never heard of this movie before. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's one that I think has, much like In the Mouth of Madness, has gained a cult following, which, I mean, the same could be said of The Thing. So, I mean, that's a it's a reoccurring theme for a lot of his work.
What I will say about The Thing, though, is that The Thing is like, you could go to Universal Studios and in the Monster Horror Makeup Show, you can see clips of this movie, of The Thing. You can see the head in the lobby or whatever. We talked about this before. It's referenced in Epic Universe. There are all kinds of references to The Thing. In the last 40 years you hear people talk about it like Stephen Colbert and Patton Oswalt and all these people talk about this movie publicly about how much nobody's talking about the Prince of Darkness.
Right.
I mean, Ozzy Osbourne, but he meant something different. He meant the actual devil.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, no, that is my seeing of this movie was as illuminating about the weirdness of his work and how weird it can be as it was confusing because you're in the middle of it.
I think this is a movie where I get a little bit more out of it every time. I understand more of it every time, and I appreciate it more every time. Still doesn't mean I love it, but I do like it a little more every time.
That's how parents feel about their kids. I understand you more. That doesn't mean I don't like you anymore.
It makes a lot of sense.
Prince of Darkness. Oh, I've been saying the whole time.
Yeah.
Whatever. Hey, guys, just pretend I didn't. Prince of Darkness. Before man walked the earth, it slept for centuries. It is evil. It is real. It's awakening. A priest discovers an ancient canister containing a strange liquid in an abandoned church. Oh, God. Anybody listening to this who hasn't seen this has just turned the episode off. When a group of graduate students and scientists are tasked with studying it, they unknowingly unleash an evil force waiting to destroy all of humanity. Did they unleash it?
I don't know. In being in its presence.
Like, did we miss the moment where one of them was like, whoops, and like accidentally dropped something that opened the lid a little bit?
No, because I mean, not that I can tell. Like, they were doing their experiments on it and stuff, and then the same woman who was doing those experiments on the carbon dating of the rust on the top of the tube is like, she happens to be the one that gets possessed first.
The radiologist who they make it a point to say, have you seen Susan? And someone goes, who? They do that 40 times in this.
Glasses,
radiologist. And they're like, oh, yeah, that one.
There are, it's not even that there are a lot of characters. It's just for the story that's being told, there are a lot of characters. They all have names. They all serve a purpose,
have a job,
but like some of them are just kind of like, there's a couple characters where you're like, Mullins, what do you do around here, man?
Right. The doctor who comes in, Dr. Leahy or Lay or whatever. And it's like, they make a point of introducing him to one of our main focal characters. And then he does nothing the rest of the movie.
Delegates to the other scientist, and it's like, well, then why are you here?
He raises his hand when they ask if anybody's had any dreams.
Yeah.
Like, that is the big moment of his. We're like, I have. It's like, great. Why weren't there 4 characters?
Yeah.
Why wasn't it the doctor, the priest, and 4 other characters?
Yeah, his students. Because that's a very, it's like, The Haunting is like that. Stephen King's Rose Red is like that. It's a class is taken to like a big mansion to investigate ghosts.
Sure.
Like those sorts of stories.
But it's also like Ghostbusters You said ghosts, Ghostbusters, a team of 4 people use science to learn more about the paranormal, and hilarity and adventure ensues. If 4 is a fine number of characters, look at the No, okay, I'm not going to talk about TMNT because I don't care for it.
Yeah, I like them.
Okay.
Prince of Darkness was released in October of 1987. It is directed by John Carpenter, and it's written by a name in the credits, Martin Quatermass.
Yes.
I might blow your mind here.
Okay.
Martin Quatermass, not a real person.
Is that John Carpenter?
It's John Carpenter.
Yeah.
It's produced by Larry J. Franco. I'll go more into Quatermass here shortly. The cinematographer is Gary B. Kibb, who was also the cinematographer for In the Mouth of Madness. But he works on a lot of John Carpenter's stuff. They Live, Village of the Damned, Escape from L.A., Vampires, and Ghosts of Mars. The editor is Steve Merkovich, who also was the editor for Big Trouble in Little China, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
I honestly didn't mean to do that.
So 1, it's a reference to that, but also Secret of the Ooze. That's kind of what this movie is.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. It's also what Ghostbusters 2 is about. Ghostbusters.
Oh, man. We're doing it,
He
guys.
was in The Mouth of Madness. Vigo was. Everything is connected, you
together.
motherfuckers.
Steve Merkovich was also the editor for I Know What You Did Last Summer, Valentine, Darkness Falls, which was that Tooth Fairy movie, Devil's Pass, Rings, and then the first 2 escape room movies that came out in the last 5 years or so.
Okay, yeah.
The budget for this film, so
8.9 million is what.
Okay, so
Mouth of Madness made.
Here's the first time I think we're doing this, where we're moving backwards through a quote unquote franchise.
Yeah, because this came out much earlier.
Yeah, we haven't said this so far this episode, but like we mentioned last week, this is part of what's called John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. It is part 2.
Right.
But we are reviewing them in reverse order.
Yeah.
And for reasons. But so the budget for In the Mouth of Madness was $8 million.
Right. It made 8.9.
8.9 is what it made. This budget is $3 million.
Did it make 3.9?
It made $14.2 million.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's a difference of, it may just be a difference in the landscape of horror movies at the time.
It's also having Alice Cooper, other big names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 2 big names.
But one of them is the biggest.
Yeah. The most important.
The most important.
Our director and writer, John Carpenter, we've spoken about obviously a ton. Producer Larry J. Franco was also the producer on Escape from New York, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China, They Live, Mars Attacks, Jurassic Park 3, the Ang Lee Hulk movie from 2003,
Ooh.
Batman Begins.
Oh.
And then he was the executive producer on The Rocketeer, Jumanji, Sleepy Hollow, and the associate producer on The Thing. So he's worked with John Carpenter a whole lot.
Yeah.
And then
Ang Lee's Hulk 2 Batman Begins is superhero movie quality whiplash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially because, those movies came out 2 years apart.
Wow, really?
Yes. That's 2003 to 2005, I believe.
Oh, my God.
The music for this film is done by John Carpenter, working with Alan Howarth. Alan Howarth we've talked about before because they collaborate a lot. Escape from New York, Halloween 2, The Thing, Halloween 3, Christine, Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, They Live. And then Alan Howarth was the composer on Halloween's 4, 5, and 6 on his own.
Oh, okay.
So the production of this movie, I don't have a ton of notes, but I'll say Carpenter, he became inspired while researching theoretical physics and atomic theory. He recalled, quote, "I thought it would be interesting to create some sort of ultimate evil and combine it with the notion of matter and antimatter." This idea would eventually develop into a screenplay that was then the first of a multi-picture deal with Alive Pictures, where Carpenter was allocated $3 million per picture and complete creative control. So Carpenter, before this, had done some studio work and hadn't really gotten what he wanted out of that experience.
Yeah.
And so this was him going, okay, I'm going to go to a smaller studio that will give me, an amount of money.
Whatever I want.
And I can do whatever I want. So he did this movie with Alive Pictures, and then he did They Live is the next film he does.
Okay.
Prince of Darkness was shot in Los Angeles over the course of 30 days, so it was a really tight shoot. It was shot with wide-angle lenses and combined anamorphic format to create a lot of distortion in the picture, which you actually commented on very early on in our rewatch.
Yeah, there's a way that one of these shots is framed, because I doubt we'll go over this specific moment, but there's a way that a shot is framed where it almost looks like he's the actor to the left-hand side is like priest. Out of focus. But no, I guess it's just the way, and it makes sense. You pointed out the fact that it kind of disorients you and it makes everything seem a little like vertigo-y. Not the movie.
Right. But I get what you
mean. From your inner ear.
Also, not the thing, the movie.
No.
Carpenter wrote the screenplay, but was credited as Martin Quatermass, which, along with the name of Professor Barak's institution, Neil University, was an homage to the British film and television writer Nigel Neal. We spoke about him last week, actually, and his best-known character, Bernard Quatermass. The story features elements associated with Neil, including a confrontation with ancient evil, which is from his Quatermass and the Pit, messages from the future, which was from his story The Road, and the scientific investigation of the paranormal, which is from his story The Stone Tape. So a lot of influences there, much in the same way that, Carpenter was pulling a lot of influence from Stephen King and Lovecraft for, In the Mouth of Madness.
Follow up. Do you think Stone Tape is tape made of stone, or do you think stone tape is tape you use to tape stones together?
It's the second one.
Okay, you're sure? Because you looked like you didn't think about that at all.
Yeah, I didn't.
Leave a comment of what you think stone tape is. # stone tape.
Please help us out.
Please. Anything.
This is what we need most.
Send us to our P.O. box cocaine that we may take to fuel us for the next episodes.
We're so tired. John Carpenter cast people that he had worked with previously, including Victor Wong, Dennis Dunn, and
just somebody else, right?
Yeah, just somebody else.
Yeah.
It was Peter Jason's first time working with Carpenter, but he would go on to become kind of one of his regulars. Executive producer Shep Gordon was also the manager to singer Alice Cooper.
Yes.
And so he suggested Cooper should record a song for the movie. Cooper apparently, as a big fan of horror movies, he basically was just like, oh man, could I go to set and I'd love to just watch you, shoot for the day or whatever. And so he did. And then in that, Carpenter was like, oh, well, why don't I just put you in as one of these like homeless zombie types that I have here? And then after he gets him like caked in makeup, he was like, well, you know what? They don't really have a leader. What if we made you like the leader of their group? So yeah, Alice Cooper's just kind of a bit part in several scenes throughout this movie. Alice Cooper allowed for the impaling device from his stage show to be used in the film with the scene between Alice Cooper's character and where he kills the character Etchinson.
Sure.
So in the stage productions, he would do this thing, and Carpenter, I guess, had gone to his concerts and seen this, and he was like, that's really cool. How do you do that? And it's like it's a magic trick where he would take his mic stand and impale someone with it, and it would shoot out their back and blood would shoot out and everything. Mm-hmm. And Carpenter had seen that and he explained it to him.
Which, of course, we won't tell you because that's against the magic rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We would never break the magician's code.
The magician's code, that's right.
Yeah, because then we get blacklisted forever.
Yeah.
And blackballed by your grandfather. So they adapted that into a bicycle of all things.
Yeah.
It's an interesting scene to me. In an interview that Carpenter gave in November of 2012 to the magazine Rue Morgue, he revealed how he had created the eerie dream sequence of this film, featuring the shadowy figure coming out of the front of the church. Basically, they first shot the action of that figure with a video camera and then re-photographed that from a television set in order to give the image like a otherworldly kind of dislocated feeling. Mm-hmm. And it gives it its graininess. It looks different, feels different than the rest of the movie. It almost has a different frame rate, it feels like at times.
Which is funny because I wonder if the audio from that is like that sequence is taken from audio from a TV set because it also sounds odd,
distorted, and weird. It's funny you mentioned the audio because John Carpenter is the one who is the voice, the disembodied voice in that.
So basically, every part of that I could have guessed because I've heard him talk, and that I can hear that sounds like him. But more than that, it's like if I had to guess how they did that, that's what I would guess.
Yeah.
You can almost see the camera moving disconnected from the image to where it looks like the image is being like kind of shown from a different medium, a TV screen or something. So that, I mean, it's a great way to do it. It works.
Yeah. And I think it creates some of the most interesting and like kind of terrifying images in the whole movie to me.
Yeah. Especially because it comes out of nowhere, and this is more review, but it comes out of nowhere and it goes unanswered for a little bit, but then it goes mostly unanswered the entire movie until the very end.
So one of the last thing, I guess, is the film critic John Kenneth Moore has suggested that Prince of Darkness serves or could serve as a parable for the AIDS epidemic that was at its peak during the time that this film was made in the late 80s. So I'll just go through kind of what he's placed. Throughout the film, demonic possession is depicted as something that is transmitted via fluid pass between people. Like a communicable disease. Moore also notes a number of references to homosexuality in the film, mainly with the character of Walter.
Yeah.
There are several statements that either he makes or others make about him that kind of imply that he might be gay.
Yeah.
He does briefly flirt with Lisa, I believe. And he says that he has a hot date tonight. Like he's mad that he's having to do this whole thing over the weekend. But it's like,
our main character is like, oh, what's his name? And he's like, not funny. But it's not, to me, I read that as not funny as in like, dude, shut up. It's my life. Fuck off. Not like, haha, I'm also homophobic.
Right. And then Walter himself is talking about like fear at some point or stress. I think he's talking about stress. And he's basically like, oh, well, my doctor said whenever I was a kid, it's like, I've been stressed my whole life. My doctor as a kid said that it was homosexual panic.
Right.
So it's like little things like that. But then also whenever Walter is attacked by a number of possessed women toward the end of the film, he becomes trapped inside of a closet.
Fair enough.
And then eventually, whenever they break in, he then emerges from that closet to flee, to get away from the terror of these women who are attacking him.
So you want to be more on the nose with a visual metaphor. He then bashes that woman about the head and body with a brick until she is deceased, then flings her bodily out of a window.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I just thought they were some kind of interesting takes on this film.
I also think that if you look at the movie from the onset of the film and as it progresses, the biggest people that seem to be a driving force of the possession, the infection, if you will, are the homeless population.
Yes. And then on a grander scale, you know, in addition to all of that, he also wrote that the film pointedly asks some rather big questions about human nature, our existence, and the universe at large.
Suppose what your faith has said was essentially correct. Suppose there is a universal mind controlling everything, a God willing the behavior of every subatomic particle. Now, every particle has an antiparticle, its mirror image, its negative side. Maybe this universal mind resides in the mirror image instead of in our universe as we wanted to believe. Maybe he's anti-God, bringing darkness instead of light.
Why weren't we told the truth?
Without the technology to confirm, it would have been another legend.
But he was our prisoner, not yours. We had a responsibility to warn the rest of the world. Only the corrupt are listened to now. And they tell us what we want to hear.
Terrific. Thanks, Dr. Loomis. For the record, we waited for this. One of those big names that draws the people in. He plays just the priest, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Dr. Loomis.
Oh, love him.
Donald Pleasance back again, ladies and gentlemen.
He's he's kind of a staple for Carpenter for a reason.
Yeah, although what I will say is that this is probably the only time we'll mention Donald Pleasance this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Which is a tragedy. Last year we got to talk about him fucking 5 times.
At least.
One shy of the amount of bullets he shot into Michael Myers. At least in that first movie. I wonder if you go through, oh God, I don't want to ever watch those movies again. We should have done this while we were watching.
Count how many bullets he puts in Michael.
Yeah, or at least shoots at him.
Yeah. This film opens with, I think it's like the longest piece of Carpenter's score, like one continuous song, because it's about a 9-minute opening sequence where the credits are rolling.
Yeah.
Because it keeps cutting back and forth between credits and then a little snippet of a scene just to kind of get us where we are and who these people, like, just set it up.
Yeah.
But it starts with a full moon casting into this old man's room, who then seemingly passes away in his little bed. He's a priest, and he is holding like a little chest upon his chest.
Which is funny because the chest, okay, not an important detail, but the chest is broken into, like, the lid of it looks like 3 individual panels. And I thought it was a cryptex at first.
Oh.
Like from the Da Vinci Code. I was doing a U. I was getting the name wrong. But I did it on purpose.
Well, yeah, that's what I do.
I love you so much. That is so fucking funny.
A nun finds this dead priest the next morning,
played by Lance Henriksen,
and calls in our hero.
Yes.
Another priest.
Big time.
Father Loomis.
It's so funny because John was like, Quatermass. You know that he's sitting there and he's like, okay, well, I have this character in mind. He's a priest. He kind of knows about the secret thing. It is like pure evil. And the priest is trying to warn everybody about the pure. Oh my God, I got to give Donald a call.
As far as I know, it was written for him in mind.
Incredible.
Same thing with the professor and maybe one of the other characters. It's like he wrote specifically for these people.
That's great. I love, because we meet Donald Pleasance's character very early on. I think they find him dead, this priest. And then he is like ushered into the room by a nun for the record, I'm going to say every plot point and I'm going to say them all very hesitantly. And I'm going to look, you guys can't see this, but I'm looking at Derek with big eyes, like a deer in the headlights going, right? Subtly, because we just finished watching this movie. The credits rolled and we immediately walked in here and started recording. I do not remember the order of events at all. This movie is fucking wild.
It is stacked in such a way, and it's a slippery movie. It is.
Now, I want to be clear. The editing is fine.
Yeah.
It's not like it's confusing. It's not geographically confusing or chronologically confusing. The thing, though, is that they want to build suspense because this is much more suspense than it is like a thriller or an action or anything. So the problem is that they focus on those moments of suspense. So like I said in the off from this review, it is a lot of meandering, and it's hard then mentally to keep in mind the order of the meandering.
Yeah. Taking notes for this episode, whenever I first rewatched it this week, it's the movie's like an hour and 40, hour and 42. It probably took me double that amount of time. It at least took me the 2 full hours because I kept pausing it and having to rewind and be like, okay, what was just said? What are they discussing here?
That's the best part about Mouth of Madness for us, is that not only is it great and a lot of fun to watch, not only is the production super straightforward on that movie, but also it was like 85 minutes.
Yeah. It flew by. But yes, Father Loomis, I'm just going to refer to him like that because I think that's the easiest way.
It is fucking hysterical. That is what people call him.
Yeah. Apparently on some closed captions, that's how he's referred to, because he is never given a name in the film.
No. And in the credits, he's priest. What if that's his name? Father Priest.
Oh.
But yeah, he kind of looks to the desk of this dead, old priest, Lance Henriksen, and he opens this diary and he's reading through it. And the camera closes in on like a line of scrawled text. And it says something about like
the sleeper awakens.
Yeah.
And the brotherhood of what are they called?
The Brotherhood of Sleep.
The Brotherhood of Sleep, yeah.
Which to me is John Carpenter saying that the Catholic Church, they sleep.
Oh.
Yeah.
But we woke AF.
Loomis is woke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loomis also finds a key, is I guess the only thing in this little chest that he had.
Right.
Because he then shortly there goes and talks to some other priests to try and figure out where it belongs and what this is all about. Our priest, our doctor, our father, Loomis, if you will, is played by Donald Pleasance. We've talked about him before, but I'll rattle off a couple things. He was in The Great Escape in '63. He's in Fantastic Voyage. You might know him from 007, You Only Live Twice. He was in THX 1138, but then we also see him in Escape from New York, Phenomena, and he obviously played Dr. Samuel Loomis in Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, 5, and 6. Curse of Michael Myers. He is, and you and I have talked about this several times. I can't count the amount of times we've talked about this. He is one of the better parts of the original Halloween film. Without him, I don't think it would have been near as impactful as the franchise. He would then be the tied for the best part of Halloween 2. It's him and Jamie Lee Curtis are both great. And then he is the best part of 4, 5, and 6 by a lot. Yeah, he is the through line there. And he is the best part of this movie because I think it's always, we've had people talk to us, fans of the show, come up to us and talk to us about how they like it when I do Loomis. Don't worry. I will. But the point is that we joke about him and that he's drunk and that he's waving guns at children or whatever. The point is that he is an exceptional actor. Yes. He is incredible. And this movie, he acts circles around these fucking kids. Like he and the professor are both they're both so good. I love both of these performances so much. Our clip is astounding. It's the best scene in the movie. And you have a couple of those in this where they're sitting across that desk from each other. And every single time it's like, I just want to hear you two talk about these theories. Yeah. But so that is how we are introduced to, it's what the movie's going to do the rest of the movie. We are introduced to a little sliver of information that it will then take its goddamn time to give you any more info on. Yeah, this is a slow burn. Yeah. Professor Howard Barak, he is walking across campus. He works at a college campus. He looks up and he spots, for the first time, we see this eclipse happening. And we also see ants swarming on an ant hill, which we see a lot of insects swarming in this film. Insects and just dirt dwelling creatures. Yeah. He teaches a class on quantum physics, and they talk about how we as people, we as a society, try to put order on the universe, and that is not always true, especially when you go to a subatomic level. All of that sort of what we think of as real kind of gets thrown out the window. When I first watched this movie, I was confused by this scene and I was confused by this character because they are talking about theology. And obviously at a certain point you realize, because those things kind of, from a scientific standpoint, theology and quantum physics, the fabric of the universe, go hand in hand in discussion. But I thought it was just a theology class. We start with nuns, fucking priest, crosses, the whole 9 yards. Right. And we immediately move to a discussion about God. And so it's like, oh, okay, this is a God movie. John Carpenter, because Jesus' dad was a John Carpenter. Anyway. JC. Professor Howard. Amazing. Professor Barak is played by Victor Wong, and he was in Big Trouble in Little China, which is a John Carpenter film in '86. I know him originally from Tremors, which is one of my favorite franchises. Oh my God, he is in Tremors. He is the character who gives the graboids their name. Amazing. And then the other thing I know him from is another series that my brother and I watched the hell out of growing up, is the Three Ninjas franchise. Oh. There are 4 of those, if I'm not mistaken. The first 3, I think, have the same kids, and the 4th one, it's different kids, but they're supposed to be the same characters. But he plays Grandpa Mori. Okay. And so basically he is the grandpa to these 3 white kids who then he teaches martial arts to. Okay. It's a dumb 90s, it is frustrating to me that a series called Three Ninjas has 4 movies in it, but whatever. Yeah. Yeah. The 4th one High Noon at Mega Mountain also starred Hulk Hogan.
Oh no!
And it took place at a theme park.
Well, that's cool. The name of it is fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, it's a name that sticks with you because I've only seen that movie one time, and it is in my brain since childhood.
That name is as cool as Hulk Hogan being dead is.
Okay. Victor Wong's character of Barack is most likely a nod to a real life physicist and mathematician named Paul Dirac, who, among other things, predicted antimatter and also contributed in quantum mechanics, which are obviously the source material for this film.
Yeah.
So our priest, Father Loomis, if you will, goes to St. Goddard's Monastery, and he goes down into the basement. We don't see what he sees at this point. He's just kind of like, he takes that key, he unlocks the door, and then he writes to the professor to ask him for help with what he has found.
Yeah. What's funny is that as you go through the hall of this, because this is the set where the majority of this movie takes place. I would argue 95% of the movie takes place in and around this. Whether it's all the same building, I don't know.
So the upper portions are like that church that we're seeing in South LA. Like that, I think, is where it was actually shot. It's on location. Now, whenever they go down into the basement, that is in another location in some old, like, abandoned building that was, like, falling apart so much that they had to, like, sign
waivers.
Of just, like, and they couldn't walk in certain areas for fear of either falling through the floor or having things fall on them.
Jesus.
So, yeah. But it looked great.
No, all of it pays off to, I mean, if anybody ever grew up going to church, most churches, especially in kind of the South or Southern areas, they are a little careworn. They're older buildings. They don't have a lot of money for, for maintenance or whatnot. So it felt very real. It feels very like the old wooden doors, the old pictures and paintings on the wall and stuff. Yeah, it feels lived in to a point where there's zero difficulty believing that that's what this building is.
Right. And within the confines of the story of this movie, the church has been closed for many, many years. And so it feels like that as well. Because I think they just found an old church that wasn't in use.
It also makes a lot of sense that that door is the basement leads to a different set because that door is insanely different from the rest of the building.
Yes.
It is like a giant ornate door with a giant lock and crosses all over it. Yeah, it's very different.
And you'll see that, like, basically anytime that they cross that threshold, it's always shot here and then shot on the stairs. There's no shot following someone down because they're literally
it's going into Patty's Pub. You can never see it.
That's the best example.
Yeah.
Brian is our kind of lead student. He is seen watching a news report of like a new supernova that has just presented itself in space, I guess. But this has no payoff in the movie at all, seemingly unrelated.
The only thing that I could think of is like they specifically mention Precambrian matter. And it's like, are you trying to date the things that you then based your plot around to some capacity?
Or it's like, is this somehow, this new emerging supernova is somehow the thing that has caused the break?
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that this actor, you and I have...
We'll get to shortly.
Yeah, we've lovingly referred to him as not Tom Atkins.
Right.
Because he's as close as you can get without having to pay the man himself.
Yeah, he has a John Carpenter mustache, and he looks like a slightly younger Tom Atkins.
Would you say he looks like a college student in any way?
I would say that most of them don't.
No, they look like scientists. You could just
say that they were a team of scientists.
Right. And that the physicist, the doctor, is their old professor. And he gathered the team. You can say anything. It's your movie, Quatermass. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. If only you were working, closer with your director, John Carpenter, then maybe you could have agreed on something.
If only you had literally been given a, quote, creative freedom from the studio that you're working with on purpose for that reason.
That's true.
Oh, well.
This is another time where we see ants like swarming out of the back of Brian's TV.
And at first I thought it was like a sort of dream sequency thing, but you just come to realize like, yeah, no, insects are acting the fuck up.
Yes, because and it's kind of spelled out later. But yeah, that's just happening and it's how these things are reacting to each other and that something is putting out energy into the world.
Right.
That's causing this. So the professor is taken to the church by our Father Loomis, and they go down into the bottom of this monastery, and he begins explaining who the Brotherhood of Sleep were, and that the guy who was in charge, they're a group of a secret group of, he calls them guardian priests.
Yes.
And that basically it's the secret order who, one after another in this line, they are tasked with keeping this thing in the basement in check. It's never explained how.
No, okay, for those of you who haven't seen this movie, those things where it's like the finger trap, like a Chinese finger, but they're not actually finger traps. They're like squishy. And I get the joke. You put your dick in them.
Yeah.
But they are like filled with like a liquid that's like glittery and multicolored. It's a tube of that.
Yeah, it looks like one of those.
It's a church basement, like a cathedral basement, covered in crosses and candles.
Yeah.
And then in the center of it is a giant glass cylinder, 7 million years old, filled with spiraling green glowy liquid.
I love this prop. I love.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Everything. Anytime you see it, I love this whole set. Honestly, all the candles and crosses and everything look awesome. There's this giant book that is written in like parts of it are written in Latin, parts of it are written in Coptic, I think is what he says, and then some other language, and it's been like printed over and things have been crossed out or tried to be, fixed, but like you can still read the old text. And it's like there's no real explanation as to what this is. Is the book important to how they're keeping this thing at bay?
Right.
But
yeah,
it's there.
I like that later on in the film, they say it's like it was tried to be erased, but poorly.
Yeah. There are parts of it that have been like, try to be redacted almost.
Right.
And
now, one thing I will say is that you and I kind of eye rolled about a line of dialogue from this sequence where the Catholic Church has been keeping this thing under wraps for 2,000 years. So I guess that the sources of like what we know as the Catholic Church are about 2,000 years old. Okay. Maybe a little older, maybe a little less.
Yeah.
But I find that interesting because that line, it's not really dug into any further. But I wonder if what he is suggesting is that the revelations of this movie about extra fucking terrestrials, if that is the thing that then launches that church.
Oh, causes the schism?
Right.
Huh. Interesting.
Anyway.
But yes, so the Brotherhood of Sleep, there is, one who has been, after all this time, left in charge to protect and to keep this thing held at bay. And whenever he is, I guess, close to death, he is supposed to find a new person and hand it off to them.
Right.
But that has, I guess, not happened.
No. Lance Henriksen was far too busy being a movie producer in Hollywood creating Stab 4.
Correct.
He simply did not have the time.
I love Father Loomis has this line here about how like things are changing in the world up there.
Yeah.
And it's been happening for like the last month.
You have a good glimpse of that when he first gets to the church in the very beginning, and he freezes in place and turns and looks in the air and kind of looks at the homeless people that are kind of walking around and is obviously shaken and is like, ugh, and like goes back inside or like walks inside for the first time. You can tell that there is something on the air. And I had a theory, and I don't know how true this is. I have zero way to prove this. But there are things that happen in this movie that are set at certain times, but we are being shown outside. And it looks like the footage from outside is being taken from like the opposite time of the day. Like if it is supposed to be in the morning, it looks like it is dusk. Or if it is supposed to be at night, it like there is a shot where it's like 3:00 at night, but it looks like the sun has just set.
Yeah.
Like there's no sort of that ethereal night glow.
Right.
And all of it just looks wrong. And I think that pays dividends.
Yeah, I think it's done on purpose. I think a lot of things are done in this movie to make it more surreal and make you question or make you look at it and go, well, that like it does something inside of you, like subconsciously, where you're like, oh, something was off about that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And there's no way to put your finger on it. But I think you're probably not wrong.
Yeah.
I will say that Carpenter has stated that this is one of those movies where every shot, every image, everything that he did in this is like he did it with a purpose. He knew exactly how much money he had to play with, and they were giving him whatever he wanted to. Like he could do whatever he wanted, and so he wanted to do everything as pristine as possible. There's no wasted time. There's no wasted film. I think he, on his earlier movies, his shot maybe a little looser. And so this one, he was like, no, I'm really going to dial in.
Yeah. I mean, I can appreciate that, especially because, you know, I don't know. I can appreciate that he is competent and able to do that. And I think in a lot of the movies that he's made, you can see how far he can stretch a fucking dollar. But in this movie, I'm just like, okay. You spent $3 million to shoot 30 collective minutes of people walking in a hallway. Well, he spent all of his per diem at Dan Flash's.
Yeah.
So
you just haven't seen those shirts yet, man.
So complicated.
But they're perfect for a guy like him. Professor Barack has requested that his students spend the weekend at this church.
Yeah.
He leaves a note for them.
This is where we get the comment, the character
Walter,
where he says, you know, I had a hot date this weekend. Yeah.
Because, a lot of them are like, oh, no, well, now I've got to do this or this or this for the, I was supposed to do this over the weekend, but whatever. And then this is kind of where we're really introduced to Brian Marsh and Catherine Danforth. They kind of officially meet for the first time. They've been students or classmates together for a while, but they didn't.
Yeah, and we have a weird scene where he this is like a couple scenes ago where he is watching her from like a shadowy, under a tree.
It's the way that I take, because we get a couple of those where in the opening credits, he sees her once kind of walking across, and it's that thing of oh, she's talking with friends, but it feels like they're classmates. So he's seen her in class. He's interested in her, but he's never approached her. And so he's looking for that moment for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, she's probably, this feels like a master's sort of class, or at least the end of a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
So she's probably in her early to mid 20s, and he's 46 years old. So how do you approach somebody?
Yeah.
He does not look like a college student.
No.
He does. He looks so much older than every other person that is supposed to be his peer.
Yeah. And I do not know, nor do I care what the ages of these people are right now.
Oh, yeah. No, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah. But who knows? I agree. He does not look like a college student, but
it's Steve Buscemi with the skateboard.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
But so they have this little meet, and he's flirtatious and she's kind of distant, and but she opens up whenever they're talking about theory and what they're doing in class and things like that. But he makes a real ass of himself.
He delivers the line, I'm a sexist or I'm a bona fide sexist and I'm proud of it.
Yeah. And then when she does not take kindly to that and shuts down, he's just oh, that didn't work.
He's like, how come you can talk about theory all day long, but the second we start to talk about people, you shut down? And it's you just told her you were a sexist after basically honking her boobies, you fucking weirdo.
And so they do this thing where they're okay, I'm sorry. Can we try this again? Can we start this over?
Yeah.
And they do that. And I'm okay, that's an interesting character moment.
It's vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because what I was going to say, and I was going to make this as a joke, but now it's actually a decent point. Because if this were Tom Atkins, he would have slapped her across the face and been get your shit together. And she would have been I love you, Tom. But this is a much more believable way that humans act. And it's the 80s. So saying I'm a sexist, it's yeah, so is everyone.
Brian Marsh is played by Jameson Parker. Not a lot of horror stuff. He was on One Life to Live for 120 episodes. That was, I guess, his kind of first claim to fame.
Weak.
He's in a movie called The Bell Jar from 1979. And then he was in an action film from 86 called American Justice. It's also known as Jackals. But I don't really know any of those. And then Catherine Danforth is played by Lisa Blount. She was in Dead and Buried in 81. Night Flyers, a sci-fi horror film from 87. And Needful Things, which is a Stephen King adaptation from 93.
Needful Things.
Yeah, it's about the a thrift store that's run by the devil.
There's a Twilight episode called Needful Things, and it's the exact same story.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's all referenced
Did Stephen King write the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, he wrote the whole thing.
Rod Serling is Stephen King's Quatermass. Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Third Channel podcast where we make stuff up.
Professor Barack explains to his students that we're going to be staying in this church for the whole weekend. Don't plan to leave. Take your stuff. But he will not tell them what they're doing.
No, not at all.
Because I think at that point, he's got to in his head, he's already questioning the reality of this. He's seen it with his own eyes. But it's still like, if I tell these students of mine,
Right.
hey, there's a giant tube full of green liquid.
And we're going to figure out what the fuck it is. We're not only are we going to figure out what it is, we're going to figure out its moral alignment.
Yeah. And they're going to be like, we'll take the F. That's fine. It couldn't bring our grade down that much, right?
Yeah, no.
It will. One F will ruin your grade. Let me tell you.
He looks them dead in the eyes and he's like, or I will destroy your careers. I know everyone. You'll never find a job. And they're like, fuck. All right, let's drink some of this goo and figure out what it is.
So when the professor goes back to the church, he notices a homeless woman like down the sidewalk from him, and she's looking up at that same eclipse that's happening, and she's
Which is like a crescent moon that sits just above the sun.
right, yeah, because it's I'm sure it's playing with the idea of like the planets aligning or whatever.
Or maybe that supernova in the beginning. Maybe I think that's a good point of yours, and maybe that does have something to do with it because it's planetary or whatever.
No, they're pulling from a lot of places here.
Every place,
yeah,
and none of it's real. And it's confusing as hell.
But she is like kind of staring up at the sky. She's bowing. And then whenever he looks closer, her face is like covered in ants.
Yes.
And he goes inside, and the priest tells the professor that they've got to try and translate this book and then prove it scientifically to convince the outside world that this evil is real, that it exists, and that it cannot be contained anymore. That is what we're trying to achieve with this weekend.
Now, my question is, if they figure it all out in time and they convince the outside world through science and reason, and they have enough time to do that the evil can't be contained anymore, what good does that do? It can't be contained. What have you accomplished?
Yeah, I don't know.
You let everyone know they're fucked instead of just them finding out.
It's like, guys, we opened Pandora's box.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot close it. But we just wanted you to know.
It's like, we opened Pandora's box and now we can't get it closed and bad shit's coming out of it. And it's like, okay, well, what's the plan?
How are we going to fix it?
Oh, no. You've misunderstood. I'm letting you know that that's happened. End of talk. End of speech.
Enjoy what little bit of life you have left.
Which is almost over.
Brian and Catherine have a date and then spend the night together. And the next morning, Brian also notices the eclipse. The students end up going to the church next, and as they're arriving, they see the homeless people are gathering in an alleyway across from the church, looking up at the eclipse. This is where we are introduced to our lead homeless person, played by Alice Cooper. I don't know if I should say this word. The way that he's credited in this, he's credited as the street schizo.
Okay. I don't know
they talk about
schizophrenia has anything to do with this, but sure.
One of the characters mentions schizophrenics later on, looking down at all the homeless people standing there, and she's like, schizophrenics are a lot of times their minds kind of work on these repetitive things that reset every 20 minutes, and they just do the same acts over and over again. Either way, Alice Cooper is here.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper was in Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band from '78, the one starring the Bee Gees as the Beatles.
Oh, I didn't know that existed.
That's a weird movie. He was also in a Spanish horror film from '86 called Monster Dog.
Oh my God.
I have no idea what that is.
It's good.
And now let's give our listeners a second here.
Okay.
Because this is the second time in our chats that we've talked about Alice Cooper featuring in a horror film.
Okay.
Everyone listening at home, you want to take a guess as to where you've heard us talk about Alice Cooper before?
Can I tell you something?
I'll give you a second.
I also don't know. I have forgotten.
He is in Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, as in the memories when we see younger Freddy's. Alice Cooper plays Edward Underwood, who is Fred Krueger's foster father who abuses him.
Oh my God. Yeah, I forgot all about that. I totally forgot about that. That's amazing.
That's his second horror cameo in movies. It'll probably be the only times that we ever talk about Alice Cooper as a starring role.
Yeah. Well, he wrote Christine 16. And Christine eventually we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I might make a joke about that then. So maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Stick around for that one.
For that joke in an episode late this year, maybe.
They talk about the students there are talking about how the church has closed down for a while, but they don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of them going to a place and not knowing what they're doing or why they're doing it.
The other thing, the thing I don't like about the dialogue and script in this movie, and this is one of those things that, you know, there are things that I think are fine, and then there are things that I really don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I really don't like is what you just said, but to kind of refine it, it's people speculate endlessly in this movie, and 90% of it goes nowhere. 90% of it is either immediately proven wrong, or even if it's right, it doesn't matter, or they just don't address it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't need to know why the church shut down at all. B, you guys wouldn't, why would you be interested in that other than passing small talk? And if it is passing small talk, we do not need to see that. That is one of those things that movies don't usually have for reasons. There are 50 characters in this movie, and all 70 characters in this movie need to give 100% of their time to meeting all 100% of each other.
Speaking of a bunch of characters,
Yeah.
we are now introduced to Dr. Paul Leahy and a group of scientists who have also arrived at the church to set up equipment. No one has been told what they're there to do.
Yeah.
Dr. Paul Leahy is played by Peter Jason. He was in a horror film, a slasher movie from 82 called Tricks or Treats. And then after this, he would be in They Live, In the Mouth of Madness. He plays Mr. Paul, who I couldn't tell you who that is.
Nope, no idea.
If you asked. And then he's in Village of the Damned, Escape from LA, and Ghost of Mars.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then we're also introduced to before I even get there, I like they set up, you know, the equipment in this church, and it makes me think of like ghost hunter shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I like it though.
Or even like the Conjuring. Like whenever they set up the equipment in the house, or Insidious, whenever those guys show up to set up equipment in the house to kind of like catch things that are going on.
Yeah. To me, what it reminded me of, and this is a weird pull, but it reminded me of Hoth, because you have like
the cables running up and down the hallways and stuff.
But it's ice.
And it's so cold there.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that it is like the stark contrast between science and something so far detached.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's seeing a church just covered in like analytical machinery all over the place. Yeah, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, we are also introduced here to Lisa, who is played by Anne Yen. She was in a Chinese drama film from 1980 called What is Love? And then she was in another movie, I think it was a comedy called Love or Money from 1990. She is there to help translate the book.
Yes. A character that actually serves a functional purpose that is described in detail that we then see her accomplish.
Yeah, her work pays off for something.
It's because language and translation is a really easy thing to explain to your audience. You don't have to go over all the pseudoscience of it. You can just go, she knows this language, she's going to write it down from the book into a computer. And we're like, thanks, John Carpenter.
Then we check back in with her every once in a while. It's like, yeah, that's all we need.
She's just typing away, typing.
The homeless people are seen encircling the church property, staring up at the building. There is, as Father Loomis gets there, the bag lady thanks him for reopening the church, and her voice has this like
demonic distortion to it. Yeah,
and she like bows down and like rubs her cheek on his hand.
Yeah.
And then he notices like the cup she's holding for change is like full of maggots.
It's like maggots and brownie mix. It's really weird.
Yeah, she was making really bad brownies.
Or good brownies if you're Timon and Pumbaa.
Oh, that's a good point. You know, that was, you know, I'm not thinking of our friends.
Timon and Pumbaa. Guys, I'm really begging for comments. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here. First of all, please like our episodes and subscribe to our podcast on social media and wherever you're listening. But also, please leave us a comment and agree with me that the bugs from the original Lion King animated film look fucking delicious, and I would eat them all the time.
Yeah, they look as good as tree stars from the Land Before Time series.
There it is. Also, your average Krabby Patty.
The bag lady,
not delicious.
By, Joanna Merlin, and she was in much later. She is in The Invasion from 2007, which is another version of The Invasion from the Body Snatchers. but she is the casting director, or was the casting director on Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay.
So just there's a couple people like that in this movie where it's like, oh, they do this. And then they were like, well, you want to act?
I was just amazed that is a person you began to mention the career of. Like, no fucking way.
Yeah, I wish there was something more there. But
that's just from a fucking extra stable. And they're like, hey, move your mouth. We'll fix it in post.
Everyone is taken down into the basement to see the cylinder for the first time. Some of them seem really affected by it. Others, call bullshit on the whole thing. Catherine is seen. She notices worms like on the outside of her window in her room that she's working in.
A lot of the and I'm doing air quotes here, a lot of the tricks that this movie uses are super immediately identifiable to the point where it's not even really a trick. It's just like, well, yeah, I can tell what you're doing, but that doesn't distract too much.
Right.
I think that if you rely heavily on that stuff, the whole movie, it becomes a little like old hat. But the first time, because it's like the windows are covered in earthworms, like hundreds of thousands of earthworms, and it is awesome and clearly shot in reverse. But the way they had to have shot it in reverse, to my mind, is that they just took buckets of earthworms and threw them onto windows, and that they just fell off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they must have just kind of like lined in one of the special features, Frank, the guy who meets his demise outside with the beetles. He talks about how they had to put a beetle on his cheek. And so they put like a little bit of like sticky stuff just so they could put the beetle there so he wouldn't immediately fall off. And then he could do his reaction.
So they spirit gummed a beetle to his face?
Can
you imagine being that poor fucking beetle?
I know.
He's like, I just want to play my music. Now I'm stuck to a face.
Sure, it went just like that.
Yeah.
But I assume they kind of did the same thing for these worms. They kind of like maybe sprayed like a film of some kind. They would kind of be sticky. And then they just kind of let them.
That's kind of sad, right?
Yeah.
They just want to fuck in a big pile and eat and shit dirt all day.
Yeah.
Let them do it.
Let them do it.
I don't know what famous accent that they would have.
The worms would have?
Yeah. They'd be like Diamond Dave. Yeah. That's my Diamond Dave.
Nice. They've all gone and seen the cylinder finally. They're starting their experiments. They find that the cylinder has a lock on the top portion that can be opened from the inside.
Right.
Which I think is a interesting detail.
An interesting detail that, again, this is a heady movie that when you spend even a minute thinking about falls apart, because what does that mean?
Yeah.
How does that work?
And why hasn't he just unlocked it then?
It's an ancient being made of liquid. Does it have the key? If so, what the fuck is the point of the lock? Does it not have the key? Then who's getting in there? A being made of air. I don't understand.
No.
We're not meant to.
No, I don't think so.
No.
We see a little bit of the translation that Lisa has done. The quote there is, "And the Prince of Darkness was himself sealed that old life, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world." So they use the title of the movie, which is good.
They also say Satan.
They also say Satan and the devil. But yeah, we're slowly building who or what this thing is doing.
Yeah.
Or holding.
Yeah.
Like I said, they begin their experiments. Walter and Kelly, they notice the homeless people standing in the alley. This is where, they're just standing on either end of this alleyway on the side of the church and just staring up at them. This is where she says the thing about schizophrenics. Walter Fong is played by Dennis Dunn. He was in Big Trouble in Little China. He was in Warriors of Virtue, which was a 97 martial arts fantasy film directed by Ronnie Yu.
Oh.
So there's the tie there. Kelly is played by Susan Blanchard, who was in Rooskies from 87, directed by Rick Rosenthal. And then she was also in They Live after this.
Yeah. Nobody knows her fucking name.
No.
She's a radiologist. They know that. She has glasses.
No. You see?
Am I doing
You're
that?
doing it.
Fuck.
No, Kelly is the woman who she's a student.
Right.
She does nothing through the entire film
until the end. Where she becomes
where
the
something
devil.
happens to her.
She becomes a cartoon.
Yes.
Right.
She's the grim dealer. There is a character named Etchinson who goes to leave for the night. He's one of the scientists that was brought in working under Dr. Leahy.
Yeah, he looks like the Carradine from that's Revenge of the Nerds. He gets stabbed in the belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about him a second ago.
Yeah, he gets stabbed by Alice Cooper's homeless person with a bicycle. Like the back half of a bicycle.
Yeah.
Without its front wheel.
Fucking Bicycle's not a Alice Cooper song.
No. Oh, but Etchinson is listening to the Alice Cooper song Prince of Darkness during that scene on his headphones.
That he, of course, wrote for Freddy's Dead.
Etchinson is played by Tom Bray. He was in The Prowler, which was a slasher film from 1981. And then he's in the Sean S. Cunningham film Deep Star 6.
Okay.
Skibbity 6-7. But leave that part. Brian says that a life form is growing out of the prebiotics liquid in the cylinder. He tells, which
you pointed this out.
Yeah, and other people have pointed this out.
They're physicists.
Right.
They're quantum physicists. Why does he know how to identify that?
Right.
That is not that, so far as we know. Now, we are stupid people. We know movie talk. We don't know science speak. So the question is, do they have anything to do with each other? And if so, how?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Probably you gave the because we paused the movie to kind of have this discussion.
Yeah, because we're so fucking confused.
Like, why would they know that? Because of the differences in sciences. And you gave the best example of, for the layman, science people know science stuff.
Right.
And so we as the audience are just supposed to be like, well, yeah, I mean, they're physicists, but yeah, they probably know about this.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's an easy enough, like, hand wave away that this movie kind of does.
Yeah.
Where I think it's, the movie itself is bringing up these big topics, but then in order to try and like explain them in a way that will make them make sense within a 2-hour period,
right,
it's difficult to do.
Well, they're also just saying so much so fucking fast. John Carpenter's like, it doesn't matter. Just keep saying dialogue. No one's going to be able to rewind this. It's the 80s.
Yeah.
There's no way this is getting released on VHS.
Yeah, there's no way that eventually there's going to be a cult following for this so big that Shout Factory releases a 4K of this.
No, that happened. That's how we watched it tonight.
Anyway, Susan Cabot is talking about more science that doesn't quite make any sense. Has carbon dated the cylinder to be 7 million years old. And she notices, she goes down into the basement. Susan Cabot is played by Anne Howard. She was in Blue Streak, which was a 99 comedy with, oh my God, what is his name? Martin Lawrence, I believe.
Okay.
And then she was in the 2012 horror film The Collection, which that's a pair of movies, The Collector and The Collection, that I don't think you've seen that I really want to show you.
Hey, Derek, really quick question. This is Susan, the radiologist, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Glasses.
Right. Okay. So this is Susan. This is the radiologist. No one knows her name.
No.
It is like a comedy beat, but they use it even after she's like fucking possessed.
Yes.
They're like, who? Susan? The one with the glasses? And it's like, yeah, she's fucking attacking you, you idiot. What are you talking about? That one.
And she doesn't wear the glasses after that.
That's why they don't know her.
It makes a big difference.
It's a Velma situation.
It's a Clark Kent situation.
That's actually more accurate because Velma would just be ass up walking around going, where are my glasses? Or whatever she says.
She would. What? Susan goes down into the basement again to look at the cylinder.
Yeah.
And this is where she begins. Everybody else has gone upstairs for other things. And so she begins noticing the liquid dripping upwards from this canister, which is another just one of those surreal images that they kind of create through this whole movie.
Yeah.
The liquid is like pooling up on the ceiling, which is a simple enough camera trick.
But this is cool. I like this. This doesn't, is it alive?
Right.
Is it, is it clinging to the ceiling? Or is reality so warped around it that it's just behaving in a way that reality can't contain? Either way, I think it's neat.
There's a shot. I feel like there's a shot in Alien where like whenever he's looking at the eggs that like things start dripping off of them upwards like that. And they give like a weird, and it makes you feel like something is off about what I'm watching.
Yeah.
Because things don't move like that. And then while she's staring up into this pool on the ceiling, a stream of this liquid sprays her in the mouth.
Right in the mouth.
And she doesn't like it.
Let's just call it what it is moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
The canister's roof body pisses in her mouth.
Right.
It fires a stream of green piss right into her mouth, and she becomes the devil.
Yes.
Or like a minion of the devil.
Yeah. She doesn't become the devil himself. She doesn't look that cool.
No. No gun, no cigarette.
No sunglasses.
No sunglasses.
But yeah, I guess, it pisses on her. Yeah, because it's going to happen a lot.
Yeah, and that's the easiest way to refer to it because it looks like piss. It is a thin, powerful jet of liquid, but not powerful like from a sink faucet or something. Powerful like from, a urethra. It's pee.
So where the others are at this time, while she is drowning in piss water downstairs.
She's drinking a gallon of piss.
Is Lisa explains to the rest of the group what she has translated so far. And so we get a big info dump here.
Yes.
Of the cylinder was buried in the Middle East eons ago by the father of Satan.
Okay, yeah. And the father of Satan is from a precursor race that existed before humanity. I don't mean to interrupt you. It's important to me that I understand this. And so now keep in mind, centuries old, 7 million years old, this canister is. The Devil's Son, which is a song from Hack-O-Lantern.
Right.
And so,
man,
yeah,
that's a good pull. That's the greatest pull.
Yeah, the Devil's Son. And so he turned his son into Jello. And then put him into this thing,
right?
This canister, where he could unlock it from the inside if only the devil's dad had given him a key. And then he buried him in the dirt. And then years went by, and Jesus Christ, who is a descendant of somebody from the precursor race, so is an alien.
He's a human-like extraterrestrial race,
right?
Comes to Earth to warn us,
right?
And then, there's some people who think that Christ is like crazy, but he's gaining followers with all this like Satan being buried in a tube in the desert speak. And so they kill him.
Right.
Which then I guess lines up with the biblical tale of, him being crucified for what he was crucified for.
And then he comes back to life. It doesn't matter. We're getting into the Bible now. The point is that God and his son, Jesus, the devil and his up until now not named dad,
right?
Who we're going to call the devil's dad, are aliens.
Yes. Now,
here's the issue that I have. For 2,000 years, the Guardians of Sleep have protected the tube holding the devil in LA. And then more than that, for 2,000 years, what about the other 7 point however many million years? Where
was it?
Right.
Oh, good point. I don't know.
Okay.
So Jesus's disciples, after he was
humans,
killed,
by the way,
yes,
not aliens,
who believed his talk, they kept this secret then hidden all this time until with the hope that someday someone could scientifically prove that what Christ was saying was true, and then they could do something with that information.
Yeah, 2,000 years ago, those guys were real worried about science.
They were.
Yeah, that's why they nailed people to fucking wooden T's, is because they loved, that's what the cross represents scientist. You understand?
Wow, that is a stretch.
It's not even, it's just bullshit. But yeah, that's what we find out.
The main plot of this movie is kind of loosely based or inspired, I guess I should say, by the H.P. Lovecraft works, including his Cthulhu mythos. These works have a race of each evil ancient gods we talked about last week called the Outer Gods, the anti-god in this movie, who ruled Earth for millions of years until they were exiled by another race, in this case humans. And they are waiting for their return from when the stars align to conquer Earth again.
Yeah, I mean, that is Lovecraftian. I think he's probably the person who would have originated that sort of ideology written into a modern lexicon. But what I would say is that there's an awful lot of storytelling that's like that by this point. This where this movie is being made. Right. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I just think it's especially with our Apocalypse trilogy, thematically, like how it ties together.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting because there's also some Lovecraftian things going on in the Thing.
Sure.
So we'll get to that,
namely tentacles,
soon enough. Brian notices that a reading on like one of those I don't know what this machine is, but it like does a
spectrograph or whatever.
It does a squiggly line on a piece of paper when electricity happens.
And remember, being an insurance adjuster is all about cutting out the squigglies.
Yeah.
Which is a catchphrase of ours from last week's episode that we're turning into merchandise.
Yeah, it's going to be a hit. Don't you worry. But he explains.
Can't believe I got to use that again.
That's amazing. Yeah. He explains to his professor that apparently the reading that he's seeing is that the cylinder just directed a bunch of energy in a straight line, which we have to assume is the stream of piss, right?
Well, here's the problem is because, and I pointed this out while we were watching, but this is kind of the general problem I have with this movie and at large is guy walks up and goes, "Hey, listen, man, we need to have a conversation." The professor's like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "This thing just let off an insane amount of energy in one direction. Like peak my graph or whatever the fuck, peak my polygraph machine. It lied real hard in one direction." And the guy's like, "That's really serious. That means that it can use like telekinesis or like psychokinesis or whatever." And the guy's like, yeah. And he's like, "I got to tell people." And the professor's like,
"You
"Well,
shouldn't
no.
tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody yet. We need to make sure that that's what it is, just in case it was like, like a gust of wind." And it's like, if it's possible that it was a gust of wind, why are you talking about psychokinesis? Why wouldn't you immediately go, well, it's probably a wind, man.
It's not the wind.
Also, if you have a thing that's set up that is that sensitive and that specific, and if somebody going can fuck it all up, put a wind guard on it.
Well, yeah, and it's that thing of like, okay, these readings are upstairs, so that means your sensors are downstairs with the cylinder. Do you not have cameras down there watching the cylinder or just seeing the room at all?
That's a good
They have
point.
nothing
There's
to
like
reference
no
back
security
to.
cameras at all. This movie's plot falls apart immediately because you'd see Lisa's mouth get pissed into by the tube devil.
Right.
The devil's son.
But Brian quickly goes and tells Catherine about this energy spike and how he and the professor are kind of thinking that the cylinder is like reaching out and influencing things in this world.
Catherine is the redhead, correct? Okay. I had forgotten.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce you to a couple more here in just a second.
Oh, please don't.
But Susan, while these conversations are being had about this energy spike.
Who?
Glasses.
Radiologist.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Go ahead.
She pretty eerily kind of rises up off the floor.
Yeah.
It's a creepy look. She comes upstairs and Walter sees her in the hallway, but then whenever he turns his back, she kind of disappears. Mullins is looking for her. He goes downstairs to find her. Mullins is a heavier set guy. He's played by Dirk Blocker. He was in Poltergeist in 82. He's in Starman from 84.
Okay.
And then he was in the TV movie Night of the Scarecrow, which we watched within the last couple of years. I really like it a lot.
Oh my God, he is in that. Yeah, we watched Joe Bob talk about it. That was an incredible movie.
Yeah. For a TV horror film.
Yeah.
I loved that. But Mullins goes downstairs to try and find her. And he has this moment where like one of the machines down there starts beeping. And I do not know. Mullins is a student. I know that because he's in the classroom earlier. I don't know what his job here is supposed to be, but he sees this machine start blinking and beeping. And he leans in to try and figure out what's going on. And then when that happens, she comes up behind him and snaps his neck.
Yeah. What I will say is that something I pointed out to you that I like about this movie is that because of all the pseudoscience and because of all of there's machines down here that read stuff about the goo. It's like him sitting there and seeing it reacting is good emotional storytelling. You have now linked a semi-communication to the devil's son.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Could it have been the goo?
Well, it's more of a liquid than a goo. And also, I'm going to say it the one time. Sure.
Okay.
I don't think we need to go any further than that, though. We don't need to speculate.
No. Professor Barack and Father Loomis have their discussion, kind of in a faith versus science. This is where they talk about the anti-God. This is where we get our clip.
It's where they discuss the mirror, which is important.
Yes,
unfortunately.
Yes, that does have a payoff. The idea that there are for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. There is matter and there's antimatter. And there are, possibly maybe this thing is from another universe, a mirror dimension to our own.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
The good news is that from this conversation, now the ball is rolling.
Yes.
And it picks up a lot of speed. The problem is it picks up a lot of speed in the weirdest fucking direction.
Yeah, and it picks up speed to then sit in a closet for far too long.
Yes, that's true.
The thing I'll say about this scene that I love the most is we get such good Donald Pleasance performance here.
Yes.
Not to say that Victor Wong is not doing a great job.
No,
as well,
he is.
Because he is. Yeah. But we get those the Pleasance moments of him being really soft and reflective to then just like screaming crazed.
So there are two Donald Pleasances by this point in his career. There is the soft bearded Robin Williams whispery, and then there's still classic Loomis. And so it's like he'll do the thing of well, if God, is this blah, 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 and then it has to be this, and I shot him 6 times. It's just there he is.
Yep.
Welcome back, baby.
Yeah. And I mean, this was kind of the proving ground for him to come back in 2 years' time to play Loomis one more time and try and shoot a little girl 6 times.
Wait, what do you mean a proving ground?
Well, he hadn't done it.
That shit.
Yeah.
The opening scene of him being get out of the car, Marion, you fucking idiot.
What I'm saying is he hadn't done it in a while. And so maybe they thought, he's washed up. We don't know if he's the Loomis we know and love.
Yeah. One thing that Dylan and I have gotten into the habit of, speaking of Donald Pleasance, speaking of Loomis, is we have gotten into the habit of anytime we reference him, because he comes up in our lives all the time. Yes. Not naturally. We make it a point to bring him up.
We stan a Donald Pleasance.
We stand a Loom. But anytime he gets brought up, Dylan and I will interrupt either each other or ourselves in conversation. Be like, and mind you, he was a psychiatrist. Why he had that gun was specifically to murder a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, was he a man?
Michael's evil.
Yeah.
He's evil. Okay, go ahead. I told the fans, I given the fans what they want.
That's what they wanted. You had to wait this long into the episode, but you got it, baby.
Yeah, I can't do it at the beginning, otherwise it would all clicked off.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We got to get through, the first ad break or whatever.
God damn it, Tubi.
We are not introduced because we've been introduced to these guys before, but Calder, Lomax, and Frank Wyndham. They are outside the church at this point. They're having it looks like they're having a smoke break.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how Calder is very excited about everything that they just saw with the tube. And he's like, we're on the brink of a huge find here.
He
something
says
important.
We're on the brink of the ultimate truth.
The ultimate truth. Yes. Yeah. Whereas Lomax just seems kind of, unsure and I don't know if I want to be a part of this, kind of scared of the whole thing.
And Frank is straight up I'm fucking out.
Yeah, but not even in a I'm scared, more of this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah.
And so the others, Calder and Lomax go inside. Lomax, I'll say here, is because he doesn't play a huge role in the rest of this movie.
No.
He is played by Ken Wright. He was in a movie called Down Twisted, which was an 1987 crime thriller, and he was in Flight of the Intruder in 1991.
Okay.
But then we are left with Frank Wyndham, who's played by Robert Grassmere. He is in They Live. He is in Demolition Man. Those are his only 2 other acting roles that I'm aware of, because he is the visual effects supervisor on this film.
Okay.
So he was just kind of asked, hey, you want to play this part?
Sure. Cute. So 2 things happen. The first thing, Susan walks outside to on the there's an emergency escape.
Yeah, because the door is it's an outside staircase
from the second floor. So there's a staircase that a metal staircase, and she leans against the railing and she stares down at him.
Yeah. Frank notices homeless people. He turns around. He notices homeless people kind of creating a a line, which reminds me of much later Jordan Peele's Us. Thank you.
That's all I could think of is Hands Across America. Yeah.
Because, and it is like, think about seeing that in the middle of the night, standing out somewhere, and you turn around and just in the shadows, there are just people standing,
the other
staring.
thing that I have a problem with, all of these people are scientists, they're rational, but they're also like nerdy college kids.
Yeah.
And they show so much, well, they're all 50 years old, but you know what I mean? They all show bravery in the strangest moments. Like, fuck no. If I look out on the street in downtown Tampa in the middle of the night and there's 50 homeless people holding hands down the street, first of all, I'm going to think defund the police. We should get some mental health experts to help them and give a shit and try to, you know, save their lives or whatever, like decent people. But the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go, holy fuck, and I'm going to run and dive into the bay.
Right.
And depending on the time of year, it might be green.
Oh no.
Or there might be a dead body in there.
Oh God.
But the point is that he barely reacts to it all. What he does react to is suddenly there's beetles.
Yes.
Like 1,000 beetles.
There's beetles on Susan. There's beetles on Frank.
It just doesn't make any sense because like he sees one, like I think it's on his like hand or his sleeve or something. He's like, what? And then he looks down and he's standing in a puddle of them.
Yeah.
There's like 7,000 beetles.
Yeah, it makes me think of in the Nightmare series when like eels would just show up like around people's feet in dream sequences and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like that sort of thing. It just kind of like
Surrealism.
it's it's surrealism for sure.
Then the homeless lady with the maggot cup has a half of a pair of scissors.
Yeah, this whole shot, or this whole scene, I should say, when the guys are out there and they're talking to him being left alone, they keep cutting back to this ultra wide shot of this courtyard that's beside the church. It almost looks like an old like basketball court or something. And I think it's just to establish how far away he is from the building because of then how weird and surreal this attack looks as the bag lady charges him from the alleyway.
Yeah.
There is, with like half of like a set of shears or something.
Yeah, it looks like a pair of fabric scissors.
And she stabs him to death. Now, this scene also reminds me a lot, this stabbing, I should say, and him standing out in the middle of this thing reminds me a lot of the scene in Suspiria with the blind man in the middle of the like courtyard, or, like
where the thing flies at him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's just that isolation of being out there and just like something is going to come and get you, but you don't know where it's coming from.
But unfortunately, instead of having a dog, this guy has 5 million beetles.
Yes.
You told me something interesting, though, about this scene where the homeless woman raises the scissors because
it's really quick cuts there as she's running. And we see from the wide shot and then from a tighter shot of just kind of her. But then you see an ultra tight of the weapon being raised. And apparently they shot that with the actress just standing there still. And then they had a truck which had like either bricks or something that looked like the brick wall on it drive past her. And so it bizarre. Creates in this quick flash, it just creates this like, that didn't look right. Like it looks fake. And it's because it is.
The scene reminds me a lot of her stabbing him, and the way she enters the scene reminds me a lot of the third Exorcist movie with like the most famous scene from that movie where one person crosses from one room in the hospital across the hall and with like hedge trimmers to cut someone's head off. It kind of reminded me of that, but you do have a couple moments that interrupt her running into frame. I think if they had gotten rid of those things and just had her running in, I think it would have been genuinely like disturbing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. If you look at it on paper.
I like the surrealism of it, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Because seeing the wide shot of her just charging across that, and he's just kind of like because he's like looking down at the beetles and everything.
Yeah.
And
now again, I'm going to say this real slow, and I'm going to look at you. We then go back to Lisa, and is it Lisa's bedtime? Is that where we are?
We're getting to the dreams. Yeah. The others start noticing that Frank and Susan and Mullins are all missing. Walter, he has a dream of a like dark figure coming out of the entrance of the church, hearing a distorted message.
At first, I think it only says, like, if you're seeing this is not a dream.
Yes. It's like, this is the only way we can reach you is as a dream.
Yeah.
And then this is a message coming from the year 19, and then it cuts off as he wakes up.
Right.
And we see this dream, I think, 4 times throughout, and we get a little bit more information every time, or a little bit more of it every time.
Yeah.
We've talked about this already off the top of the episode, but like, I love this. I love how it looks. I love how weird it is. I love this brand of like analog horror.
Yeah, I like the aesthetic of it.
Yes.
I absolutely hate this as a narrative device. I think that this is way too far. I think this makes no sense at all. It is very much like, what if the Transformers also time traveled? It's like, you have so much you have to establish. Please do not throw time travel. It's the second they say tachyons. It's like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, I find it exhausting.
Yeah. It is like one more thing.
Too many cooks.
Yeah.
It is. There's so much going on here because John Carpenter was doing cocaine.
Yeah. Allegedly. We don't want to have your lawyers have to draft you up a thing again and you have to read it. And
I'll pretend to be Donald Pleasance. They won't know who they're talking to. I'll be like,
If you try to serve me, I'll shoot you 6 times.
and then you get served
You're
a different.
evil.
Yeah, you get served a different thing at that point.
harassment and threats. Yeah.
Professor Barak, he wakes from the same dream shortly thereafter with a little bit more of that message. And Father Loomis is like, what were you dreaming about?
He says a really cool line here, and he's like, no one controls my subconscious but my own, and he's like, and I am able to abuse it however I'd like.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, the professor gets some good lines here. Because it is of like those moments where he's still kind of fighting back. Like, they're sitting in a church, they're dealing with the devil in liquid form.
Yeah.
And he's still like pushing back against it with science. I'm just like, no. You don't get to also take part in this. This is me personally and my mind.
But they have a conversation which leads them to go back into like kind of the main area where there's like a table set up with all the equipment, and there's a few of the characters sitting around.
Yeah.
Walter's there. The other doctor, Dr. Lay, is there.
Yeah. This is where like Lisa is lying down in the girls' room. But it's revealed that Susan is hiding out there, and she closes the door.
And she goes to bed, or she's trying to, and she wakes up, and then you have the most awkward scene I've ever seen in a film before. Susan, the radiologist, by the way, her name's Susan. She has glasses. She
Sans glasses now.
They're gone. She ate them. She tried to wash down the taste of tube piss with some glasses. She climbs on top of Lisa, our typist, our translator. And she looks up and sees her climbing onto her.
Slowly.
And doesn't have wide eyes, doesn't shake, doesn't go like, what the fuck are you doing? She just kind of sits and placidly watches. And then she gets kind of closer to her face. And then she's like, hey, what are you doing? And it's like, what were you expecting? What did you hope it was?
Yeah,
scissor fucking. That's why it's the scissors from earlier. There's only one half because Susan's the devil, not a real person.
Right.
It's all
No, it is a bizarre, like, they don't react like humans.
No, and then Susan opens her mouth and pisses from her mouth. She squirts a little bit of piss into Lisa's mouth.
Yes.
From her mouth.
Right. Because that's how it's transmitted,
Mm-hmm.
apparently.
Yeah.
At some point, a little of it drips off the ceiling of the basement into Mullen's mouth as well.
And then he arises from the dead.
Right.
So now it is God, the devil, and both of their dads are aliens. 7 million years ago, the devil's sealed in a tube. 2,000 years ago, the Catholic Church is taking on the mantle of sleeping and figuring it out. And then the craziest thing is that also now we have to deal with infection like a zombie virus, resurrection like a zombie virus as well, but also biblically. Weird shit. Weird shit. And it just keeps stacking on top of each other. The homeless people are also under the influence and infected somehow. Remember, beetles and worms. Not to be confused with our friend Bug, who was in both Halloween episodes, who is both Bug and a worm.
Wow.
Bug. You motherfucker.
We move next. Calder who's played by Jesse Lawrence Ferguson. He was in Sam Raimi's Dark Man in 1990.
Oh, okay.
And he was in Boys in the Hood in 1991. He is basically going around letting the rest of the people know there that they are having a meeting in the lab.
That's very important.
Yes, which is what you were setting up a second ago.
Yeah.
But he finds Lisa sitting alone in her room and typing frantically on her computer. And as he approaches it, he sees that all she's typing over and over again is, I live, I live, I live, as she stares off, like kind of in the direction of the book.
Yeah. Proving that this is a prequel film to They Live.
Oh.
But then also, she then writes like no one will be saved.
Yeah, you will not be saved by the Holy Ghost. You will not be saved by the god Plutonium. In fact, you will not be saved.
Right. Who the fuck knows what god Plutonium means, but it sounds cooler than hell.
Yeah.
But then
Plutonium gets its base from Pluto.
Right.
So the god Pluto, who then is that Greek or is that Roman? Roman. So then
Planets
the
are
Greek
Roman.
is then Hades.
Okay.
Hades, Satan.
But why would he?
I don't know, man. I'm just fucking.
You son of a bitch. I really you had me there for a minute. Then anyway, he gets tackled by Susan as well. But like we thought Lisa was expecting, Susan, begins to make out with our gentleman caller.
Which we can only presume then.
And then he starts to freak out and like thrash around. And
why?
Well, we assume because she's pissing into his mouth from her mouth.
Right.
Which is why we hear those disgusting gulping noises. Gulp, gulp. And he's like, but his heart's going,
Yeah. That's the subtext there, so that he loves it.
Yeah, that's why the doctor invited those specific people, because they all like pee-pee in their mouths.
You ever been to a club where they wee on each other?
Yeah. This is as close as you can get to piss in your mouth without getting your eyes wet.
Thank you. The rest of the group then is having their meeting in the lab. This is where Father Loomis then asks, who has fallen asleep tonight?
Right.
And have you had this dream?
And he explains that for 2,000 years, everybody who is a member of the Guardians of Sleep has this same dream. The longer they are around the tube, they have it longer and longer and clearer, and they all share the same dream.
Yeah. It seems to be it's something that doesn't feel like a dream. It's like a premonition that unfolds more and more every time that you sleep.
Yeah. The doctor says, I don't know what this is, and this is where he begins to sound a little spiritual. He says, I don't know if it's a shared premonition, if it's he uses the word omen, which I found interesting, given the Satan elements of all that. But yeah, no. And they realize that, again, you just didn't need to do any of this. I find this super stupid, but apparently this dream, because they then start to discuss, like I said, tachyons. For those of you who don't know, tachyons are theoretical particles, I believe theoretical particles that travel faster than light. The general understanding of them is that if they were to travel faster than light, they would be viewed as though they were traveling in the opposite direction of the way linear time progresses to our collective conscious. So the idea is that if something goes from the future to the past and time travels backwards, tachyons, you just say tachyon, and you're Dr. Manhattan being confused as to why things are happening because Ozymandias is blasting you in the ass with tachyons. He's pissing tachyons from his mouth into your mouth. You understand? It's a tachyon piss situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all this.
I don't understand.
Because I love time travel.
But it's not real time travel.
It doesn't matter. Okay. I love the idea, especially with the payoff at the end. I think the end, especially these last two viewings of mine, is absolutely chilling to me.
Sure. They are beaming into the brains of the people in this church from the future a message. They have not gotten the full message yet, but that's what they kind of loosely interpret as what's happening. And they end up being correct. Spoiler, but yeah.
But yes, in the hopes to change the coming future.
Yeah. What is it? Catherine? Yeah, she is... Her job here confuses the fuck out of me. At one point, she is approached earlier on by Kelly.
It's always Kelly.
Yeah,
who's doing nothing.
Who's doing nothing because we don't even know what the fuck she's supposed to be doing.
No.
But Catherine is sitting at the computer and she's going, "I'm so tired. I don't even understand. These algorithms aren't even making sense to me anymore. They're more like poetry." And it's like, what is your job? What do you mean you don't understand the algorithms? Number one, if you're a mathematician. Number two, because it's not like out, and it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get into this. The point is where are they coming from?
Yeah, where is the data coming from?
She's acting like they're being fed into the computer, but we're not told from where at all.
Yeah.
And if we are, it's the problem isn't us. The problem is that we have been given a Santa Claus present sack full of exposition. And I mean, it's too much. It's too much to digest in that amount of time.
Yeah. All the equipment at that point goes dead. All their readings are kind of gone. And they notice Frank is then standing outside, and he is speaking up at them strangely. His voice is distorted and demonic.
Camera kind of cuts to him a little closer. His face is very like Frankenstein's monster, sort of rotten in places.
Yeah, and he's covered in beetles. And he says, I have a message, pray for death, which is like the most metal sound ever. And then he disintegrates into a bunch of bugs.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a oogie boogie situation going on down there.
For sure.
Calder, he comes upstairs singing Amazing Grace, but definitely seems to be in distress.
They're all like, yo, what the fuck's wrong with you? Because he's carrying a chair.
Like and he breaks off a piece of this wood. And then before they can do anything about it, he stabs it into his throat and rips it across, seemingly killing himself.
Well, and they're all immediately at this point, every survivor is immediately like, oh shit, we got a zombie thing going on.
Right.
They're coming to get us. They're Walking Dead, you know.
Yeah.
They knew the show because they got beamed back to them in their sleep with fucking tachyons. Fuck off.
And then, but they're like, we don't have any guns.
No.
So how are we supposed to, shoot him in the head?
We're going to get big pieces of wood.
Uh-huh.
The rest of this movie.
Well, they saw what that wood did to his throat. And they were like, okay.
Oh, that's a good idea. If it's even bigger, we can stab bigger holes into them. If they're just beetles,
Yeah. They're just beetles.
Lisa and another one, Susan. Holy shit, I forgot Susan's name again.
Yeah, they've gotten there. Kelly had gone to bed earlier. Kelly also has been complaining about this like bruise. I don't know at what point in the movie she gets this bruise, but she mentions it very early, and it gets worse and worse. And it begins having like
she bumps into a piece of equipment.
Is that it?
And they just keep talking about it. And I forgot it had any story relevance in the beginning. And so I was like, shut the fuck up about the bruise.
Yeah. But as the movie progresses, like you see more and more of like a shape.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the Fender F.
I
from
guess.
guitars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is apparently, and this is told to us later by Catherine, it's the astrologer's staff.
Sure.
But it almost looks like a cross with like a sickle.
Sure.
Built
That's
off
a good way
of
to describe that.
But then Susan and Lisa
drag the devil
in a cylinder.
Yeah. And then so all of the liquid from the cylinder drains upwards, defying gravity, like Alphaba, because it's green and it splashes all over the roof.
That's a good pull.
It pisses itself out all over the roof. And then from the roof, it pisses itself down into Kelly's eyes and mouth.
I love this shot. I love how this
great.
looks.
Yeah,
this
looks
whole
super cool.
effect sequence of like it going up into the ceiling and then like pouring across.
Huge The Thing vibes.
Yeah.
The practical approach to this and making it look so great while being shot a little low budget in the 80s. No, it's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Walter witnesses this, and then he is surprised by Susan in the dark. And so he barricades himself in this closet.
Which has like a confessional booth window.
Yeah, for a second I was like, is that where he's hiding? And then it's like, no, he's in like, because then behind him you see like mops and a vacuum. And it's like, no, you're just in like
I mean, it is abandoned. Maybe at one point it was meant to be that, but why would it be butted up against a fucking wall? Doesn't matter.
But then also Dr. Leahy comes into the room, and Lisa then
mouth pisses some piss into his mouth.
That she does.
It's a palindrome. She mouth pisses piss into his mouth.
It's something.
Yeah.
Lisa, Calder, and Mullins show up in the hallway, and this is where we kind of set up our, it takes too long to get there, but our finale.
Yeah. Very basically.
Father Loomis locks himself in a boiler room.
Yes.
And everyone else barricades in another room while Walter is stuck in a closet.
Everyone else, by the way, there is Catherine, our lead, not Tom Atkins.
Brian.
The doctor, Barack.
Mm-hmm.
And another guy.
Yeah, Lomax.
Great. One of the guys that was outside earlier.
Yep.
And then, so the room next to that is Walter is in the closet while the women are at varying degrees of being pissed in or pissing from their mouths.
Yes.
And
being
eyes.
filled with piss.
Or emptying themselves of piss into someone else. And then there is a hallway filled with having been pissed in zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Just hanging out.
And there's a million homeless people outside. And that's important because, and you pointed this out to me, in the middle of what is happening.
Yeah, well, we haven't even gotten there yet. Because first, Kelly appears to be pregnant.
Yes. Okay.
Filled to the brim.
With the piss of the Lord. Or the devil,
The
I
Dark
guess.
Lord.
Yeah.
And
Voldemort.
The sun begins coming up. The homeless people are still, they've blocked all the exits to the church.
Yes.
With like trash.
Yeah.
And the others in that room, they hear Walter through the wall. And so they're like, okay, well, maybe we can break it down.
Right.
And so they start very
and then
just
our lead
chipping
goes,
away.
no, he knocks on it. And he's like, no way, the wall's too thick. And she goes, well, let me try. And she gets literally a piece of wood, like a table brace, with like a little bracket of metal. And she just sticks it right through the wall and it's drywall.
Yep.
And it's like, that guy doesn't like Walter. He's like, that's too thick.
Hey, you know what? I don't like Walter.
I fucking hate that guy.
I don't like his character very much at all. Toward the beginning, I'm fine with him. And then in this moment, I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't care what happens to you, man. Because he's like cracking jokes.
Yeah.
And I get like I guess they're trying to bring some levity to the situation. But like, this isn't the time for that.
He's also not directly under duress.
No.
But he acts like he is.
Right.
He's like, okay, guys, what are we doing? They're just staring at me.
But then in the same breath, will not begin trying to get out of there. Like they say, hey, we're going to try and break the wall down. And he's like, okay, well, good luck.
Okay. Now we have to.
He doesn't help in any way.
We have to establish three things before we can catch up. The first thing is that the guy who slit his own throat, Calder, it then walks into and smashes down the door of the boiler room, gets into the room with the boiler room. Father Loomis hides behind the boiler and is reading his Bible to try to calm himself down, while Calder looks into the mirror and is like crying and laughing at his own reflection.
Yes.
Don't know what it's supposed to be indicative of.
No.
At this point, that guy hasn't been important enough to give a shit at all because, again, there's 1,000 characters in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first thing. The other thing is what I was about to say.
Yes.
Which is
they decide to just take a break from breaking down a wall.
And they do an experiment.
I guess.
But they don't say like, okay, this is our plan. And you pointed this out. You're
it's
like,
the one time in the movie that they don't explain to us, the audience, what they're about to do
in 8 different ways. And they are like, okay, and go. And our lead character jumps out of the 2nd story window down into the alleyway, which again is flanked on either side by a crowd of homeless people each, probably like 9 or 10 people. And they all immediately start to walk forward. They have killed several people by this point. So it's like they are an active threat to you. And they start to close the distance into the middle of this alleyway.
And then immediately they're just like, oh, we'll get back up here. Get back up here.
And so he does. Now, next to him is a chain link fence.
My question.
Right. And then I have a question.
Is what were they attempting to do here?
Right. And if it was to escape, why didn't they jump over the fence from the 2nd story?
Or if it couldn't work, then why, as soon as he hit the ground,
did he not climb the fence?
Exactly.
Right.
He doesn't attempt to. He just looks at the 2 groups of homeless people approaching him from either direction and then goes, okay, and then begins scrambling back up the wall.
Please help me. This is okay. When earlier in the movie, we were like, yeah, he had $3 million and he knew exactly what to do with it. I'm like, did he?
Yeah, there's a couple of moments in this, especially this section. This is my least favorite part of the whole movie.
Right.
Is Walter being in this closet. It's this waiting game. You've built up the big thing. The devil has unleashed his pissy form into this woman.
Which, by the way, to catch back up, her pregnant belly has gone away and all of her skin has turned into meat. She's like a Freddy Krueger situation. She's like meaty and scarred. But two things. They kept her eyes perfectly normal. She's covered in like scar makeup and shit. So her eyes are like exceptionally white and like huge. And then they've also blacked out her teeth, except for like little pieces of her teeth. And so in the front, there is a sliver of tooth. So she looks like a cartoon baby. She has giant eyeballs. And when she smiles, it looks like Art the Clown.
Yeah.
It is the most bizarre physical performance I've ever. Is it supposed to be scary?
I don't know.
Because it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It is ridiculous. And so that is a thing that like I get theoretically why that is scary, but it is comical.
It is so funny
to view.
Yeah. And then she's using psychokinesis to move things around. She's like moving the cots around. And every time she does, she looks up at Walter and it is like art. When Art like does something terrible and he looks to somebody, he's like,
to get a reaction out of.
It's like she'll like move the thing over and she's like, nah. And then she goes, eh? And she's like staring. It's like when Hades is like, I got a piece of a cockatrice in my throat, eh? Eh? And he's like staring at whomever. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I don't know why that's the reference, but it is bizarre.
It's very weird. It is, and it's like, I guess it's. Do you think like Voldemort, whenever he came back and he was like in his body again, he think he was doing the same sort of thing? He was like, guys, I got my body back.
Look how long my fingers are. Yeah.
But that's what it feels like. Is like, hey. I haven't done this in 7 million years, apparently.
Get out of this room, guys. I got a bean to flick. I'm the devil. She then does her silly, stupid face at the door of the closet Walter's in, which cracks in half. And Walter goes, oh, fuck, time to take this seriously. And he turns and immediately starts to tear the wall apart to get through the wall to the other side in the room where our heroes are.
Oh, all of a sudden he can help to break down the wall to get him out?
It looks like it has been a complete night cycle.
Yes.
People have fallen asleep and had the dream that repeats itself. It has been like, it looks to be a full night.
Oh yeah, we have watched the sun rise and now set again, and it is dark.
If he had just smashed his way through the fucking wall 8 hours ago, maybe he could have been like, no, guys, I can jump over the fence and go get help.
Yeah.
Oh, that is suggested. And the professor says, I don't think there's anyone out there who can help us.
Yeah. Because Brian is like, well, maybe when it's night, I can sneak back out and we can break a window and yell for help. And it's like, I don't think there's anyone out there who can help us.
Which that's a moment to me that's a little haunting. It's like, because again, people who like our show know that the problem I have with zombie stuff is the end of the world. It weirds me out. And this is kind of a zombie movie.
As close as you can get. Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, we haven't made this comment ourselves, but other people have. It's like John Carpenter spent his entire career trying to make zombie movies and just never made a zombie movie.
Right. Precinct 13 comes to mind. But that's not a unique.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But okay. So then climax time. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah. Let me just, because they've burst through the wall with Walter.
Oh, right.
And Brian, at that same time that he's hearing Walter freak out before they break the wall the rest of the way down, he then opens the door and struggles with Mullins, who then sprays Lomax or whatever his name is in the face.
He squirts on him. And
then he gets stabbed in the eye. And so Brian goes out and he has another leg of a table or something as a weapon.
Right. Almost gets his mouth pissed in by Dr. Lay.
Yes.
Leahy? Who gives a Dr. Extra almost pisses into not Tom Atkins' mouth. Fortunately, he is knocked out. Or so we think.
And so Kelly then
wanders into the room.
Because at first she sees this hand mirror on the floor.
Right. Like a compact, like a makeup compact.
Yes. And her eyes get even bigger somehow.
Her little tooth shines in the brilliance of the mirror.
And she, in the, raspiest voice ever, says, Father.
And she sticks her hand in the mirror.
Yeah, because this glow comes out of the mirror and she puts a couple fingers in there.
Let me be clear. Her hand goes into the mirror as though it is a window.
Right.
She doesn't just smash it.
Right. It's like, Ash putting his hand through the mirror and it being liquid.
Yes. Which is a similar trick to this. In fact, I think we mentioned this movie during that discussion.
Probably did.
But she then sees the movie or the room where Calder is, and he's standing in front of a floor-length mirror. And she walks up to it and she's like, with this big smile. And Loomis is hiding behind it like, Jesus fucking Christ, what the hell is happening? And they get to this point where she reaches her hand in and it's just kind of ethereally floating. And we get a good perspective of what it looks like on the other side, where it's just like dark. It's darkness.
Yes.
Endless abyss of darkness. But it's shot like it's an ocean.
Right.
And then Loomis grabs a fire axe and goes, I can end this. I can do it. And he chops her fucking arm off. And it's like, great, because you see her arm float away. But then she turns and like Art the Clown goes, ah, and another arm just pops out of the shirt.
Yeah, like Piccolo.
Right. So then he cuts her fucking head off. And then she, not to be outdone, picks the head up and sits it back on top like a goddamn clown. It is. It's like a rodeo clown.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then she reaches her arm back in and we see a giant hand in the dark water in the mirror, the anti-god, grab her hand and she begins to pull it out. We see what is obviously a latex rubber devil costume hand.
Yeah.
Like Tim Curry's Legend. Like a red arm with big black nails come out with it. At which point Kathy, seeing this happening.
Yeah. Let me explain the mirror gag here for a second.
Okay.
Because you're speeding through this and this is wild what they did. The mirror gag was accomplished by using mercury, which they had drained. Mercury, if you don't know out there, is a very poisonous material to human beings.
Yeah.
And so they had drained that from the on-set hydraulic dollies and cranes that they were using. And they used it for where she dips her fingers and then her hand to the reflective pools. And then after the shoot, they put that mercury back into the machinery. But due to it being highly toxic, the arm that's being used there for those shots as it enters is a prosthetic. And then the reverse shot was with the characters poking through, was shot in a covered swimming pool. So it could get the complete blackness, but you could still get that high reflective water surface as the hand comes through, but then no detail other than just that murky,
that is really
demon
neat.
hand coming through.
Yeah. I just figured it was like the way I thought you would shoot that is a single light source from the top into like a fish tank and just black out the sides.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, drain mercury, John, he's like, we have $4 left. You have no idea how expensive it was to break through the wall in this fucking closet. So all I have is mercury. And they're like, John, please. And he's like, it's greater mass. Oh, Lord. Anyway, yeah, I don't mean to speed through all of this. But it is insane.
Yeah, the amount of things that are going on all at once.
Yeah.
Brian and Calder are fighting in the hallway. And Catherine finally runs down and sees all of this happening in this boiler room.
Sees a man she very much cares about to get pissed in the mouth and turn into a devil zombie.
Right.
Sees Kelly pulling the devil out of a mirror. Well, the devil's dad. Out of a mirror.
Seeing Father Loomis is after he has tried his attacks with his axe, Kelly has moved the boiler with her mind to crush him against the wall. I mean, just the rest of the people around her are either like undead-ish zombie people or just people that she's known for the last couple days or her classmates who have now been murdered. And I think that takes a bit of a toll on her.
She obviously has a mental break and then tackles Kelly and the giant hand into the mirror. Like, tackle.
And in that moment, Father Loomis then says something in Latin as he tosses the axe at the mirror, which is solid again, and it shatters, thus ending things but trapping Catherine on the other side. And in probably the most haunting image to me in this whole film is you get this shot as the portal kind of closes of Catherine in the dark abyss reaching toward that opening.
Yeah.
And as it closes.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Avengers, where Iron Man is falling back towards the portal that had been opened, the wormhole that had been opened by Loki, but just if he hadn't made it back.
And then we get a quick epilogue here.
Which I also fucking hate so much.
Oh, see, I love all
Doesn't
this.
make any sense.
The possessed people have all died.
Yeah, John Carpenter blew a little bit of cigarette smoke out of each of their mouths to show us, the audience, that they all died when the devil got locked in the mirror.
All the homeless people disperse. Walter climbs out the window and runs for help, which then they return. The following, it's now morning. And Father Loomis, he is being taken away on a stretcher, but he talks to Professor Barak here. And he's so overjoyed that they have done it. They have, stopped this terrible thing from happening. They have contained it. They have changed the future, I guess, that this dream was showing them.
But for some reason, to me, the professor does not seem convinced.
No.
Yeah.
I think because he has a line here afterwards. So Loomis is then taken away. The priest is taken away, I should say. And the professor talks to Brian, because Brian is, of course, upset because the woman that he loved, Catherine, made the ultimate sacrifice here to kind of save them, which is what the professor talks about. But he says, we are safe, but he's waiting on the other side. And so I think it's the idea of now knowing that the devil is real and that he is just on the other side of existence.
Yeah, of a mirror. Yeah. You cut
and it's
to...
we stopped it now, but for how long?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It seems like the thing that could make the mirror into a doorway got thrown into a mirror and then it got shattered and there's no way back.
Yeah, but he doesn't necessarily... I just mean that's what I think that look on his face of we did it for now, but for how long?
But you could never know. You could never have guessed that this would even happen in the first place. So what laws or rules is it going to stick to? All right.
And having your much in the same way that Catherine kind of lost it, it's like having your sense of reality shifted here, not maybe in the same way that it shifted in The Mouth of Madness. But
he's in a barber shop years later and he looks and he sees one of those things filled with the blue liquid and all the colors. And he's like, yeah, and he smashes it. Any container with a colored liquid he can't handle, as long as it's a cylinder.
Yeah. This is where, especially in these rewatches, this works for me a great deal. We see the end finally of this dream transmission, where the dark figure coming out of the church is now revealed to be Catherine. And we push in on her face as she does a T-pose. And the Halo theme plays. But there is something so haunting and kind of terrifying to me in these last moments of this shot. And I think it's because of the idea, it's because I buy into the timey-wiminess of the whole thing, of her going through the portal has now flung her far enough into this other dimension or this, whatever, that she is the one who has been sending this message back in order to have them stop it from happening, is the way I take it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I don't take it that way at all. I take it as she gets out of the mirror and she is now the thing possessed.
Okay.
And she is what the people who are sending the message back are trying to stop.
Oh.
That's how I take it.
See, that works for me as well, man. Either way.
But that doesn't make any sense.
I'm not saying it makes sense.
Because that would have happened immediately. And how would they have not noticed that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Because the movie ends with our lead character.
Right.
Again, his legal name is not Tom Atkins. And he is reaching out towards a mirror in fear. And as his hand is going to touch the mirror, the movie ends. He doesn't have The Shining or whatever it is that lets you turn a mirror into a door. Yeah. I just don't know. First of all, this movie.
And that's it. It's like that final shot, that works for me 100%.
Yeah.
It is. Have you seen Inception?
No.
It is the end of Inception. It is the audience are left hanging on this moment And then before we get our answer, it cuts to credits. He doesn't touch the mirror. We don't see, but this event has changed him and influenced his mind in such a way that he is now questioning reality.
Okay. I get that. That's fair. But it is the thing of like, because it's an apocalypse movie, right? It's in his apocalypse trilogy.
Yeah.
If she's not the thing that is the end of the world, then what is?
I don't know. Because I mean, yeah, that's a good point. This is an apocalypse movie, and it's the middle of this apocalypse trilogy. And you know, spoilers for things, but it's like this is the one where maybe the apocalypse got stopped. The other two are not.
I guess it's just about how you interpret the ending, which I didn't realize that you had interpreted it differently. That's interesting to find out. Yeah, the ending, and I'm glad it works for you. The ending, it falls flat for me. It feels, and it, if I'm being honest, the movie exhausted me 40 minutes before this point.
Yeah.
I have a hard time taking anything from the big exposition dump about God being an alien. From that point, I'm a little checked out. It's too much. There's too much happening, too much going on. It's a simple story to tell that you just told in the weirdest fucking way possible. And I get it. He was into heady concepts. He was reading heady things and learning heady materials. And he wanted to put some of that into his storytelling. But there's a reason, typically, quantum physicists don't make movies. It's because the things that they are interested in do not translate to people watching movies. Generally. I can't speak for all quantum physicists, but I can speak for everyone who watches movies.
Yeah. And I'll say, I mean, I'm sure that's why, like Oppenheimer didn't work for everyone.
Sure.
I think Oppenheimer is a masterpiece.
Yeah, but Florence Pugh's weren't out long enough.
They were out a good enough.
That's a criticism that I hear a lot.
But I understand what you mean. And I think I think this movie is confusing.
Yes.
I think there is a ton going on. It is too many cooks. It is, everything in the kitchen sink. It is every time you think like, okay, that's what the movie's about. And then they add another layer of just like, oh, well, maybe it's this. And it's like, okay, now I have to think about this theory as well. It's just, there's a lot. My biggest complaints with it are that lull before the finale. It's the waiting game of we have separated all of our people into these 3 rooms. And then it's just kind of Donald Pleasance is praying to himself. I guess he's kind of fighting with the idea, like, is he losing his faith? Is he losing? Because in my mind, those scenes read as him reaching out because he's almost pleading like Jesus and God to like show up and do something about this.
He physically says, where are you now?
And I think it's that thing of like, he has been, and you've said this, of like, he has had it proven through science to him now that God and the devil exist.
Right.
Well, where is God? Why are you not helping us in this moment?
Right.
And so it's kind of, when you learn that for a fact, does it help your faith or does it hurt your faith?
Right. And that is juxtaposed to the thing happening across the hallway where the devil has inhabited a body and the movie doesn't know how to treat that character. They gave it to the worst actor of the bunch. And there are people just doing waterworks in each other's faces, and Putin's got all the footage, and it's fucking crazy. And it's like, well, if you had just focused on the Loomis shit, that'd have been great.
Yeah. He's underutilized.
Yes, big time. The other thing that a comparison that I'll make is Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War, cuts from story to story to story to story. There's like 4 stories going on at the same time, and it cuts between them so beautifully.
Yes.
But that would be like if the last 50 minutes of Infinity War were all the same story beats that they would cut to for 10 minutes, cut back to, and then eventually it's like, oh, we're still here. We're still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. The entire back half of this movie, I love the setup. But then when you realize that the setup is for a premise that is thin, for characters you do not give a shit about, for a future that is hard to quantify. There's just so many things going on that to make it a tensiony horror movie, it's like, this is an episode of Star Trek. This doesn't make sense to be an episode or a movie that is supposed to be like suspense horror. It just does that element of it as a movie. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I do not find it especially especially scary.
There are moments that are disturbing.
Yes, and like if I think about it on a grander scale of what that would actually mean if this were all true, then like I can understand like the cosmic horror of it all. I am not a religious person, and so when it comes to religious horror or playing with religious themes in horror, like that doesn't always affect me. I think like even seeing like The Exorcist as a kid. It didn't really affect me. You hear, it's always referred to as like, that's the scariest movie ever made. And then you see it and I was kind of like, okay, because like the theology of it, the religiosity of it didn't mean anything to me.
No.
And so it didn't affect me in those ways. I find that movie much more frightening now, thinking about it from like the perspective of like, this little girl being taken over by a demonic force and a mother not understanding and having to deal with that. But like, I think it's just the difference in age and perspective. And so in this way, it's like, this is a movie where, not that it's not the same sort of religious things that we're dealing with or trying to use religion in a scary way. It's just those things don't typically work for me in a horror sense.
And what's funny is growing up religious and now not being so, I find the opposite. I find that stuff used to petrify me as a kid. And now things like this is just like, okay, great. You told another story that's kind of similar in vein. I find the sort of bleak ending and the horror that comes from the storytelling of Mouth of Madness infinitely more frightening.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is night and day. I guess the question that is left is, do you recommend Prince of Darkness?
This is a difficult one to recommend.
Yeah.
It's not one that like, I think you have to be in the right headspace. I think you have to be open to the idea of what the movie is doing and how the story is going to unfold for you. If you're wanting and I think we may have said this off the top, if not, maybe we said it off mic, but it's like, this is one of the headier movies that we have watched.
Yeah.
Because it's not a slasher. It's not just somebody running around and, killing people. It's not super bloody or gory. It's a thinker and you have to be paying attention. And even with paying attention, you're not going to actually put all the pieces together necessarily. Not on a single watch.
No. I mean, to that point, we started the review of this episode probably around like the 50 minute mark. And we're at, and we'll cut stuff out maybe, but we're at like like 220. And it's just because we have to go over this stuff for it to make sense in any way. Because if we leave the details of the storytelling out, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Right.
So like, it is an insanely thick movie.
Yes. So yeah, I don't necessarily recommend it to everyone.
Right.
I think the people who are going to like it are going to like it. But yeah, it's certainly not a movie for it's not a popcorn horror movie.
Yeah.
It's not one like, hey, let's pop this on at our Halloween party.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to say I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Just at all. And I'll say why. It's because the only people that I would recommend this movie to are people like you. And at the point where I'm recommending you a movie, it's like, oh no, you are the one who recommends me movies. It doesn't go that way. I don't have the foundational experience to be able to recommend the people that would enjoy this movie. Outside of that, I think for your general audience member, hey, if you like this movie and you there are parts of it
I think this is one, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is one that Bug really likes.
Okay, well, he's just what I call a worm.
Oh, yeah.
You worm. But the point is, if you really like this movie, great. And we're happy for you. Let us know why. Engage with us in any way.
Please.
Or I swear to God, I will show up and I'll crawl on you in the nighttime and you won't be surprised or scared or anything until I open my mouth and I use my mouth to piss in your mouth.
In my mouth?
Thanks for tuning into the Third Channel Podcast. Please, if you have the time, rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast apps.
You can follow us on social media at Third Channel Podcast, and you can find me online at thatdrosenberg.
You can also reach out to us at thirdchannelpodcast@gmail.com, where we check every message we swear. Third Channel is hosted by PJ Minette
and Derek Rosenberg. Theme song and audio engineering by Fly Guy Ty.
The logo designed by Bell DeVelco.
Episode artwork by Nathan Walkington.
Keep it tuned right here to the third channel for all things horror. And remember, don't touch that dial. Egg salad and eggs.